Welcome back, everybody. This is Mark 143. My name is Greg. I am the Bat Daddy 52, and I'm just here with a couple of my friends and co-hosts. And with our powers combined, we are geeks chasing squirrels across the multiverse. Sarah, what's up?
Hey guys. And I've got water in my ear. Took the kids to the pool today. And I'm like,
Hate that.
well, I was
Oh.
trying to teach the youngest. She was like, I want to do flips in the pool. I was like, all right, here, this is what you do. Well, apparently that water got in there and it's still in there. So you're like, if like, you see me over here, like, that's what I'm trying to
How,
do.
how does it sound with the headphones in? Do we sound like we're underwater?
No, it's not. It's just I hear it in there. I just hear it just kind of sloshing around. It's weird. It's been a long time since I've had water in my ear. So,
I haven't
other
had
than
an
that, everything's
opportunity.
great.
All right. I haven't had an opportunity to go swimming yet since the summer started. So I'm sure I will, though. Vacation's coming soon. Ross, what's up, man?
I'm actually in the process of putting a pool in.
Nice.
Oh, bless your heart.
So you'll be swimming for long.
Interesting week. In the words of what's his name, Bruce, the guy who plays Hammer, I am addicted to pornography now. So, Star Trek was a crazy episode. You wanted to talk about it, but when he said he was a part of the most pornographic show on television, I thought that was pretty crazy.
Yes, Star Trek was amazing this week. This show is so funny, and I'm going to talk about it whenever we get into it, about the ebbs and flows of it, at least for me, of this series. None of it's been bad, but just the ebbs and flows of how exciting certain episodes are, and certain episodes are kind of blah. Fillers, maybe, I guess, but we'll see. We'll talk about it. We'll get into it. Is there anything y'all want to bring up for the shows? Ross, you said you wanted to gloss over some Thor stuff, man. We are going next week, man. Thursday night. Me and you and buddy from work going to see Thor: Love and Thunder.
That's
Good
right.
stuff. We got the late show.
I caught up on, is it Marvel has that Legend show where they basically do like the real quick. This one was, I think, at like 11 minutes. And it was just like a real quick throwback to everything Thor they've had so far. And then it just kind of got me in the mood. And then from there, I just started to go down the rabbit hole a little bit of like watching a couple of the interviews since the red carpet was out, and they were all basically on all the talk shows, the late night shows. And man, like some of the stuff I saw, I told you, like I saw a scene with the hammer, and I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but I was like, I have gone too far. I have to stop.
Right.
I haven't watched.
Hit my point. LOA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right there. Because I like to tiptoe around it sometimes. Like I want to know a little bit, and I want to know a little bit, and then I saw that scene. I was like, shit, no, stop. But I'm actually really excited. They said that it's for people who aren't a real big fan of Ragnarok. This kind of pushes Ragnarok another step, but at the same time, it tells, so they've said, tells a better story than Ragnarok did.
Okay.
A whole much more well-rounded story.
Okay.
So I'm interested. I want to see it.
This one definitely looks Ragnarok-y, I guess if you could say that. And Ragnarok wasn't my favorite version, but I still enjoyed the movie, so I'm sure I'm going to enjoy this one. I'm not gonna. They just came out with a latest teaser trailer or whatever a few days ago, or at least that's I just saw it a few minutes ago. There's nothing really new spoilers about it, or at least I didn't pick up on it. But it does kind of get me a little more excited for Marvel at the movies again, to be truly honest with you, because I'm seeing this, I'm seeing all the characters, I'm like, okay, this feels like Marvel again. Even watching Miss Marvel, it doesn't feel like the MCU I'm used to yet. Not saying that it's terrible or it's a different universe, whatever, but it just doesn't feel the same yet because I haven't felt the connection so far. But seeing this does get me excited for Thor, and it's awesome. I'm thinking about it like, man, it's less than a week away. I can see this. It's pretty awesome.
A lot Sarah, of people. Go ahead.
I'll say, Sarah, you got tickets, right?
Yeah, we're not going to go to Saturday. Sorry about that. Hold on.
Oh, it's all right. You're good. What were you saying, Ross?
I think that a lot of people got confused by, not confused. A lot of people had expectations going into Doctor Strange, and I did too. Like I thought it was going to be more multiversy, and then the more I think about it after I watched it, is how far can you go down that like multiverse rabbit hole and actually tell like a movie, tell a story. So I wanted to see crazy, and I didn't quite get crazy. Maybe because I've kind of gotten used to the show platform where they can kind of just do stuff without major consequences. Loki was so. Loki was the 6th episode out of the box show that was just strange, and I really enjoyed it. And I thought Doctor Strange could pick up where that kind of left off and just run with it, but it hasn't. Like they haven't connected their dots yet. They're really showing you where all the dots are, but they haven't connected like a whole lot yet.
Right.
So I think that's like why you say that you're not into it doesn't feel very MCU-ish to you right now, because we haven't gotten there yet. And my thoughts about Thor have changed too. I don't know the whole Jane Foster storyline. Like, it feels like it's going to be less multiversy now that I've seen Doctor Strange.
It looks like I was really wrong going into the first thoughts I had about this movie. To be truly honest, from the last trailer I watched and the stuff I've seen, like the first thoughts of everything I heard, it sounds like I was really wrong about this movie. It looks like it could be a really, really fun movie. So you said you're going on Saturday?
Mm-hmm.
Are you doing this one 40X?
No.
Okay.
I can't do that.
You got to be 40X'd out.
Yes, I am. I am. I'm just like, I just want to go watch it, eat my popcorn, not worry about having to fly everywhere. So, yeah, we're actually going to a Regal, right a little bit closer to the house too. So, but Brian wanted to see it on Saturday. I was about to take the kids on Thursday, but we will.
That's all right. We don't spoil anything for you. We'll send you a whole bunch of fake stuff, and one of them will be true.
There you go. Yeah, my favorite kind of harassment right there.
That's right.
Tell you 15 different stories. You get to choose which ones you think is believable.
Right.
Or I can just ignore you.
Probably the easier solution. So what else, man? You said there was a couple things that we were talking about beforehand, but my brain is scrambled with this truck situation the last few days.
Well, I was gonna say that. I mean, I haven't watched any of the Obi-Wan stuff, like the behind the scenes stuff, but how I haven't gone back to watch it. And like this week, I've been busy, so like I really haven't even put a whole lot of stuff on television. And then like everything kind of came out on Friday that I really wanted to watch. So I want to go back and watch Obi-Wan at some point, just because when you watch it week to week, I kind of, with some of the Marvel shows, I would watch like the last episode or like the last 2 episodes before like the new one came out. And that was just because like other people hadn't seen it yet. And so I'd be like, oh, you got to watch it, sit down, watch it real fast. And like, we'll watch this one and watch the brand new one that just came out. And I haven't watched any of the Obi-Wan episodes except for one time. And I mean, to me, like I've been seeing so much news about it that it's just kind of like been in my peripheral. But like the more I think about it, it's still crazy. Number one, what we got. Number two, that we actually got an Obi-Wan show. I have heard some of the news that like this was supposed to be like the whole first season was supposed to be the equivalent of the first movie in an Obi-Wan trilogy. And I'm like, I don't know what I feel about that.
Well, I'm glad we got it as a series as opposed to the first movie of a trilogy. Then we got a whole lot more. There are actually some theaters that are showing Obi-Wan the series in the theaters. I was seeing on the news, which is pretty crazy.
I knew they were doing that in Canada, but I haven't seen it in the States.
I've seen some news about a few places. It may have been, I don't know where the locations were, because I knew anywhere around me or I would have gone. But yeah, we were talking about this before the show about rewatchability of shows. And I feel like when I see Obi-Wan, I really enjoyed it and it's really rewatchable. But I couldn't tell you the last time I went back to go rewatch a show just for the hell of it, because there's so much stuff, new stuff to watch all the time. It's so much stuff I got to catch up on. The only time I rewatch anything is when somebody else has it on, or when it just happens to be on in passing and I don't change it. It's really the only time I rewatch stuff now. So I loved it, but I can't tell you the next time I plan to go back and rewatch Obi-Wan when there's so much other stuff to watch.
It's so hard to fit into your schedule. I mean, there's like so many things going on, and especially the way, like the new stuff, the way it releases, it's like if you don't think about it just then, it seems like that's my window to watch it. Because then by like Friday or whatnot, you have all this stuff to cram in here. Like, oh my gosh.
Exactly. I think that's actually one of the benefits of movies over television shows is that you can kind of go back and watch them, and you're done in like 2 hours.
That's true. That is, you know what? Now that I think about it, movies do have a much more rewatchable, or much more rewatchable than television shows. Because it's hard to go back and watch. I hear a lot of people when like seasons like of Umbrella Academy come out. I think Ross, you even said it. You went back and watched season 1 and 2, right? And there's no way.
I
There's no way.
watched them.
Yeah, I hear you. But
That's good to get to where I got right now.
Kind of a refresher, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I just can't. Like, I can try to go back and watch. If it's really important to me, and I don't remember that. Like, say Doom Patrol, when the new season of Doom Patrol comes out, I'll probably go back and watch like the last 3 episodes of the last season. Try to, or at least
recaps are really good.
Season. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's just so hard to rewatch so much content to prepare for other content, and then rewatch content. If it's just insane. There's a lot of stuff out there.
I'm like right now. I'm in the newest episode of Stranger Things in that second half. I haven't even made it past that. Like I started to put it on last night and just like fell asleep like in the first.
Eyes won't cooperate, will they?
No, they won't do it.
I just reached that point and I'm like, oh, I can't do this. And so like today I had stuff to do, but when I woke up this morning, I'm like, I got to watch the 2 shows because I still hadn't watched Strange New Worlds and of course The Boys. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, the Terminal List just came out. Like I've been wanting to watch that.
Mm-hmm.
I've had that like on like a saved list for a while now. I was like, Stranger Things, like these episodes are long. Like they are like an hour and a half.
I think
2
my
hours
daughter
long.
actually finished it. She had forgotten
Really?
that the second half was coming out. Yeah, she's all up to date. I'm like,
Oh yeah, mine is too. Well, I think the first one's an hour and a half. The second one's like 2 or 2.5 hours, isn't it?
No,
I think somebody's telling me for Stranger.
I have no idea.
Stranger
I knew
Things,
that they were going to be
insanely
long,
long. Yeah,
but yeah,
like Zack Snyder long. It's crazy for a television show.
for episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, for episodes. So.
But at some point, like this week too, like I do kind of want to put. I have different tiers. Like when I'm working, I will put stuff on that, like I said, I just don't need to pay attention to. So Umbrella Academy was the last thing I did. I think I'm gonna try to do like Thor if I have like enough time to kind of sit and do stuff this week. Something I don't really have to pay attention to, but just put the movies on. I don't know. When watching that quick 11 minutes of that Legends show was really like I want to see the new one. I want to see the new one.
Yeah.
Come on. I need it over here. Come on. I don't know. This is the movie I was looking forward to this year. So
Right.
that's what's so funny because when I first found out about it, I was like, I don't know about this, but oh yeah, I'm all about it.
That's the same way I was. Well, I can go ahead and tell you right now, the one thing I already don't like that I see, I don't like the new Thor suit, the bluish, like
It's
the
too
navy
bright.
blue. I don't like it. Like it doesn't look terrible. I guess it's just compared to what I've seen before. I don't like it. I could say it like that. It's not like it's a horrible thing. It's just I prefer prior suits as opposed to this,
Yep.
which is fun because they change suits all the time.
that's that right there is what I was going to say.
Mm-hmm. So
I don't know what you're going to get. You may just be seeing it like, I mean, for God's sakes, we've seen him naked. So who knows what we're actually going to get at the end of the day. So this could be something that he's popping in with the beginning. It could be his hero suit. I don't know.
Well, next Thursday, buddy, we get to go see it. I think we'll probably hold off the review that Friday to one, because I want Sarah to see it, and two, just because it'll be like immediately after the comes out. Give some other people time to see it too. Plus,
We can do a Saturday show and just
we could do a Saturday show.
about
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. Well, I like that. I like the Saturday show.
I think you talked him into it.
Well, I was gonna say, me and you could do like a real quick non-spoiler afterwards, but there's no point. If it's 2 days later, we can just do a whole show on Saturday. I like that. If Sarah's down, immediately after the viewing, fresh in the mind. I like it. Okay, well there you go. So it's
These
and
are
we
how
can-
executive decisions are made.
exactly, in the middle of shows. So-
behind the scenes, in the
So
scene.
you get to see how it all works. How the sausage is made.
A fun bit of trivia, though, was it the last movie that we've seen together was Thor Ragnarok.
Was it? Interesting.
Pretty sure that was the
Okay.
last time you and I have been to a theater together.
Okay, I think before that it was Batman vs Superman, right? And then before
There's
that,
a
it
good
had
chance
to have been,
with that.
it had to have been a Star Wars movie before that. So, good stuff. All right, man. Well, I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be fun stuff. Let's hop into some shows. Where do you want to start? You know what? Let's start with Strange New Worlds because I am super, super excited about this show after this episode. This is the Star Trek that I love. Suspenseful. I don't know what's going to happen next. I can't wait to see what's going on. Stakes. Like, this is the kind of Star Trek I like. Not saying that the other ones were horrible, but I was like, okay, I'm really, really into this episode. Based on the way this one ended, I wasn't sure if it was the finale or not. I had to look it up, but it is the penultimate. So I'm wondering how they're going to top it with the finale. And I was thinking about it the other day. It's really hard to with this weekly, like weekly stories instead of like one ongoing story. How do you build up for a finale? Like, what are you building up to? We haven't had like a bad guy. We've had a constant idea in the background with one character, but they haven't even addressed that in like 4 or 5 episodes. So I'm wondering how they build up for a finale with something like this. But this episode was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. When I got done, I was like, "Hot damn, that was good." So, what do you think, man?
This first season has really been episodic with character building, and so they've done a pretty good job with that. And I think I know a good part of it is going to be dealing with the Pike 10 years and him trying to figure some things out. So where we're going to be left at the end of the next episode, I'm not sure, but they've hinted the whole time that Pike's storyline is what the show kind of is about. All of the stuff in between really is all of the other characters. Let's see where we're coming from and what we're going to do with them. Spock's a different take. All these characters are, well, most of all of them are not original. They're all from the original series. So like they needed to tell how they got from there to where they're at.
Right.
With all these different adjustments. So I think that the only thing that we're going to have is how well are they going to deal with maybe finding out about Pike and knowing that he's going to die in 10 years or what the case is. This episode, we got to see George Kirk. Got to see him be a little bit, a lot different than what we would expect Jim Kirk. Jim Kirk to be like. I get the Kirks confused, man. There's so many. But it's interesting that they just trickled him in this 9th episode. It didn't trickle him in. He was part of the landing party. So I mean, like he was part of the main.
Yeah.
So
just dropped him right in.
Yeah, here you are.
Mm-hmm.
But this episode's what I have to Ahura was going to leave, or she's talking about leaving. So the beginning of this episode, you start to see like, hey, I think I'm going to be done. And by the time that her story is told at the end of this one, she's not. She's all about the family aspect of this whole crew. And it's so funny that they just jumped to such a dark horror episode in episode 9. I mean, they went full Star Trek horror. It was fun. Like I mean, what do you know about the Gorn?
I know about the Gorn what I've seen on Big Bang Theory.
Well, actually, that's really not that far off.
That's all I really know. Yeah.
But I mean, the Gorn have been there since the beginning, and they've tried different takes on, not different really takes on them, but you've had many different mentions of the Gorn. I think they were just trying to kind of trickle them in different episodes or different, like Enterprise, Deep Space, and that kind of stuff. But they are completely different in this episode. Yeah. They look like they act. Yeah, it reminded me of like Tremors. It reminded me of like Gremlins. It reminded me of
kind of like the Bud Light lizard, but angry.
All sorts of different things. It was so crazy, like Alien right off the bat. The way they come out of that dude. But
a little bit Predator.
Yeah, like with the Vision, I didn't understand the Vision thing. Like, why are people white? Like, that's so racist.
Gorns are racist. Damn it.
But they're totally different. I mean, like they're this is like one of the few non-humanoid species that you get in this show, and that's what I always kind of disliked about Star Trek is that you need more non-humanoid characters. Species. I guess humanoid, when you reach that level of evolution in whatever or world that you're on, then you become like intelligent enough to have a conversation with the trade or with the uh, Starfleet.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, these things are deadly.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't have a conversation with them because they will kill you before you get to open your mouth.
Yeah, there's just nothing but kill. That's their only objective. It seemed like, or at least from what I saw. Like the ones I recognize or know are dressed and have guns and stuff. So it seems like they're more not guns, but I don't know. Just maybe I'm confusing them. I'm confusing them with who's the bounty hunter on Star Wars?
Boss.
Yes, that's who I'm confusing it with when I think about it.
Trandoshans.
So yes, Sarah, what do you think overall with this episode?
I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, like I said, there's a variety of each episode, and this is more of like the sci-fi version of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's because we had a little storybook version for last one. I thought it was cool that they did bring back the Gorn because I forgot what episode it was. It was when Lon was talking about her background with her brother and that kind of thing. Because I was really interested to see, are you ever going to see one? Because I'm curious to see what the iteration on this would be. Because, despite every different franchise has different versions or different, descriptions of certain, it's just like Hemmer. I mean, it's like, I'm, thinking Andorian, but I don't think he was like all Andorian. He was like some other, he wasn't what you can, consider a classic Andorian.
Right.
But yeah, to see this one, and you've got to have episodes like that in there. You've got to have ones, and that's the thing. That's the cool thing about it because it just kind of fits every little genre.
Mm-hmm.
Because not every episode or every situation has a happy ending.
Right.
You do have to have, and I mean, I like the fact that it kind of, Spock kind of unraveled a little bit, just because, I was like, is that Bones? Because that sounds a lot like what I've heard before. You pointy-eared, unfeeling. I was like, okay. But yeah, I mean, I totally enjoyed it. I mean, it really kind of broke up everything because, I mean, it's fun to have, like that where you land on a planet, there's something going on in the ship and there's like, you finally listen to their log and it's like really like, oh shit, what just happened here? Because especially when they end it where if you're here and you hear it, we did not survive.
Right.
Okay. So, but yeah, that was super fun.
Well, the cool thing about this show with it being episodic is, like I said, it tells a bunch of different kind of stories, like you were pointing out, and it's cool to have that wide variety because you can appeal to so many different audiences with that. Because even though I liked this one better than other ones, and I had some that I didn't like as much, once again, they were still all good. And I feel like if you can get a crowd who likes the majority of stuff, even if they're not a fan of the different types of stories, then it's okay because they'll watch the whole thing the whole way through. I mean, it gives you so many possibilities, and they pulled it off well. Like the last episode with the almost fairy tale story, they pulled it off well. Like I said, at least they tied it into Star Trek, and it wasn't just like a dream sequence. I would have been irritated if it was like this lazy. All right, so this episode though, did it look like Spock lost weight? He looked thinner in this episode to me. I don't know why. Just looked thinner. Maybe because I was watching it on my phone. Not sure. I don't know.
I just loved it when Pike was like, "We're gonna load up the station wagon." Everybody's like, "Station wagon." I'm like,
dude, his
I immediately had all these.
So did
flashbacks of the Woody wagon.
Did anybody else, whenever they introduced Luke in the promotion at the very beginning, you're like, "Yep, he's gonna die. He's expendable."
Yeah. Oh,
first thing I thought as soon
Duke.
as I was like,
Duke,
yeah, not Duke, Duke, yeah. They bring in a new character. I was like, "Yep, they're bringing a new character in the penultimate episode. This guy's expendable. Here we go."
Especially the one that you needed the med pack for because he burned his arm. And then, like, why did you do that? That was like totally stupid. Oh, wait.
Because Duke got promoted. He was trying to do something cool. He's like, "Hey, look, I'm a lieutenant now. I can." Ah, shit, I burnt myself.
That's how it goes.
I like they landed. They're like, when they were talking to me, called him, or Spock called him ensign, and then George is like, "Oh, you owe him a beer." I'm like, there's no limit to human drinking games. Like, nope, there isn't. We drink for everything.
Hey, so when is Spock and the Doctor going to get it on? Because
I don't know if you listen to emotions keep flying
it's so close to happening. Because he's single now, right?
No.
Didn't they break it off?
I thought they. I thought
I think they got
they
that.
broke it off for the scene, but then they turned around and said, like it was all a part of the plan, blah blah blah. It's like we were, we'll reconnect, and then I thought they ended up,
Reconnected.
yeah,
Oh, maybe
banging
I
it
don't
out
know.
on the afterwards. So
Yeah, maybe I just forgot about that. They probably did. So maybe it's just a farewell. Yeah, knock one more out of the park before you get out of here. I don't know. I thought maybe it could be wrong, but maybe he's going to anyway because it seems like they're getting pretty close.
well, like Sarah just said, I mean, like his emotions in this episode is so good to see him lose it. I The moment you see him like give into rage, I mean, like he doesn't just like flirt with his human side. He goes full
Full
on
on.
crazy. I mean,
So that's what I
full
mean, because like
on.
Vulcan emotions, that's why, they go through all the meditations to tamp that down, because that's some craziness.
Yeah.
They got some hardcore, like really vivid emotions.
It was a
got
badass
flash-
gun that he had too. Right then,
The
I was
gun?
like the gun he had in that moment where he raged out.
Oh, from the
the
humanoid
ship?
character.
Yeah.
He got
No,
it from
no.
the blue guy.
Oh yeah, I guess it was. Yeah, maybe it was him. But
Yes.
whatever it was, man, it was a badass gun.
I couldn't think of anything else either whenever they mentioned that there were 3 survivors that they picked up. And I'm like, so a girl, an unknown humanoid, and an Orion walk into a bar. Like, that's all I could think about whenever they mentioned it. Because I'm like, there's 3 people. And I'm like, all of a sudden, one of them dies because it's got Gorn eggs in it. Like, don't flirt with Gorn eggs, like, whatever the deal is. The girl's creepy. I found her a little creepy, maybe because she seemed like she was
Sketchy.
useless. Yeah, exactly. Sketchy is a much better word. But man, it's oof. I don't know that the effects in this episode were practical. All of the little Gorn puppets were
Really?
puppets. Every one of them. And so all the special effects were in removing like the
String.
poles and stuff that they use to control them with. Yeah.
The guy with the hand right there.
If you look carefully, you can see his throat move because the dude's hand's moving. No, but all of them were, and then the character, was it Pasco? Was Pasco the Orion, the blue one?
The blue one?
Yeah.
No,
Um.
well, I thought it was an unknown species.
Green. Orions are green.
Yeah, I thought the blue guy was an unknown species. That's why
Uh-huh.
they didn't have a language for him.
So Pasco was the one that died, I guess. They mentioned the
must have
name, and I was like trying to figure it out, but I guess the girl called him something. Maybe that's where I'm getting confused. But it was very, I don't know, like his death scene. I'm like, why are people leaving him alone? I mean, you should probably usher him out into like an area where he can just die because he's not looking so hot.
Or, if there's Gorn there and they had that little bubble the doctor got in that's like a force field, just like close that little force field around him while he's dying. I mean, I'm sorry, guys. Once you got stuff busting out of you, you're pretty much done. I hate to say it.
Dude, that ship. I mean, it was like an exact replica of like the Enterprise, right?
Right.
The Peregrine or whatever they were calling it, and it was on the surface. It crashed. I'm like, you should not touch anything. You should just
wait till the
just
cops
walk
get
in,
there.
like,
Don't move
completely-
anything.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
Now, it is funny though. You're right. It was like almost an exact replica. Isn't like the Enterprise supposed to be like a flagship, like best of the best? And this one like is almost the exact same thing.
I think they're like different classes. I mean, there's different
Okay.
classes of ships.
And they said there's like only 100 people that were on this ship, and I for the life of me don't know what the population of the Enterprise is, but it's I guess it could be different sized. I mean, could definitely not be nearly as new. I mean, the set looked exactly the same as the Enterprise because it was, but it was good. It was interesting.
Yeah, Panther Pickle says strange new episode, world episode was wild. It was, man. It was my favorite one of the season so far. Really, really good. I thought it was the finale. Let's talk about we haven't mentioned yet, and we'll talk about Hemmer and the character. Really liked him in this series so far. Was he fridged? Did they fridge this character for Hora's story to progress forward? Like, does it feel that way? To kill him off, to push her forward into that thing. That's basically what fridging a character is. Like, killing a character to progress in other ones.
That's what it seems to be.
I mean, it kind of seems like that, right?
I'm going to tell you that they're going to need to have an opening in engineering. So,
Okay. Well, that
we
makes
know that
sense.
we know
Yeah.
the character has to show up.
Okay.
But at the same time, Hammer was a very interesting character. I think he was very well used in this episode because he can, like telepathy of some sort. He has these different abilities, but like none of them were able to be used in this episode. So he was definitely iced in that respect to your fridge comment, but he was the bridge to push Shahora, to get her to stay. I feel sorry for him because I've never seen anyone get spit on and get pregnant. I've only heard that on like horrible tabloids.
Right. It's
But-
not true.
No, it's not. He's so good
Man,
though.
wait till you watch Enterprise at some point. That'll blow
One
you
day
up.
I'll get to that.
Well, it's funny because I didn't even think about that the being spit on thing. The first time it happened, like, just didn't even cross my mind. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but then towards the end, you're like,
Mm,
yep, he connected that dot real quick.
makes sense
thought-
now.
And that's one of the characters I'm like, oh my God, I love this guy. He's like one of the characters I love. I'm like, son of a bitch, really? Okay.
Yeah, and at the very end where that last Gorn got frozen, if she didn't demolition man that thing, I was going to be so upset. Like, isn't that the movie where he gets frozen at the end? They smash his head and it's frozen? Yeah.
I think so.
Was it Wesley Snipes?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why that scene sticks out in my head when I see something frozen. I always wanted to get crushed like that. But I was like, man, if you don't do that right then, I was like, come on. But glad it did. But yeah, this episode was insane. I don't know where they're going to go with the finale. Now, as series normally progress with a storyline going forward, I expect the finale to be like the biggest episode, bang episode. Like, with this version of storytelling, I don't know if that's what I should expect. I don't know if that's what I'm going to get. But if you give me something next week that was as good as or better than this, I'll be insanely satisfied. Even if you don't, even if it's an episode that, I enjoyed season 1. They've hooked me on this show through the episode so far. So I'll continue to watch this when it comes out again.
It's also not like a really heavy lift, It's 10 episodes.
Yeah.
There will be a second season, so.
And some of them weren't that long. Some were like 38 minutes.
Yeah,
I think one of them was like 38 minutes, 43 minutes. So they're not that bad. So
I really don't even know how long this one was. Like, I just got lost in it.
Yeah, it was probably about, I think once I got through like the opening scene and then past with credits, I think it was like probably 50 minutes. So it was probably, 55, 56, something along those lines.
I think it was somewhere in there. So
The humor kept it spaced out really well for me. Like, Pike's command code 246810. You're not going to change that? Mbenga picking on Spock for being jumpy. Like all those little bits, like the other stuff we were talking about just a minute ago. But I mean, the humor really was just enough to kind of like keep pushing the horror line along and not make it feel like you were stuck in, I don't know, like Alien or Predator, like something that was like really like you're constantly gonna get jump scared and killed.
yeah.
Spock's emotion was fun. Kirk losing it was actually very reminiscent of the Chris Pine Kirk version to me. Like when he was losing it on Spock, it felt like that was the scene for scene thing. When Chris Pine's talking about how Spock lost his mom and like how are you not emotional, like you're compromised and blah blah blah. Like I was really stuck with that feeling. Like, wow, he's really going at him. Like Spock's just getting it from the Kirk family.
Mm-hmm.
They know how to emotionally compromise him.
Clearly,
That's what you got to do. Sometimes you got to.
And that's what it sounded like me today because finally I was like, are we done? Enough?
Yeah.
Are we done now? Then we have that out of the way.
Tell your kids you don't make you unleash the Spock on them.
Oh my God.
That rage. But yeah, man, this is this series is really, really got me, man. I'm enjoying it so far. And it's one I caught from the beginning, so I can keep up with the whole time. And I have to go back and catch up. So that's another plus to it.
For
Panther
those
Pickle
with
says,
kids,
"Wait till you get a man
apparently,
pregnant." Is there a man pregnant in Star Trek?
Enterprise.
Hmm.
Commander Tucker. That's all I'm gonna say.
Gotcha.
they went.
All right.
What was that movie? What was the
Mr.
one where?
Mr. Mom, was it? No, it was the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah,
Gosh, what was it? I can't remember.
Junior.
Junior, yeah, I think that was it.
Is
Maybe
that it?
that sounds
Whatever.
right. No, I don't know.
I mean,
I know the
anyway,
twins with Danny DeVito. I remember that one.
Mhm.
yeah.
All right. Well, you got anything else you want to say about Strange New Worlds? Awesome episode. Finales next week. Gonna wrap that show up, and then I'm sure something else is coming up, take its place pretty soon. So,
Yeah, actually, I'm not sure what the next Star Trek thing is.
but they went so Star Trek heavy at the beginning of the year. They may be Star Trek'd out. You
No,
know?
I mean I know they got Lower Decks. I know they're working on. I know they're filming the next season of Discovery. I don't know what they're doing with the Prodigy animated show. I know that's supposed to be dropping on Nickelodeon, so those with
Uh,
kids, you
Yeah, I
want
don't
to
know
get
if
your
that's one
kids
that I'm gonna
into it.
pick back up on. Yeah, it was fun to watch, but I don't know. We'll see if I'm bored
Yeah,
and had nothing to watch, which will never happen because there's always something to watch. Well, let's move on. Let's go to the boys. Let's do the boys, and then we'll do Umbrella Academy and do Miss Marvel last. So, um, man, the boys is getting crazy intense.
I told you. I told you. I told you. I told you. Did I not allude to that?
Are you talking about the ending?
Yes.
Yes, you did.
Did I not?
You did. This, I think the coolest part about this episode is this is the, like, you know how when you're putting a puzzle together, like you have all the pieces and you kind of know what's going on, but then you start to get like to that point where you can really see the puzzle and it's like, okay, everything from here is easy. I think this episode was like that point. We're like, okay, cool. Now I see things wrapping up. We finally got to see the actual what happened with Soldier Boy, which is awesome. Even if it was
in such a
Disney
crazy
and it was
ass
good.
way.
It was, yeah.
This episode was so crazy. It was so good.
Well, it's cool too because in that specific episode, no, I'll break it down when we get into it. That episode is that scene is great. But this show, once again, every single week, I wonder how it's going to amaze me, and it does. It just continues to stay great and get better.
The writing team is phenomenal. They are sick. They are twisted. They are imaginative.
They have no
I
limits.
love them.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's a
Well,
solid story, and it's actually
Yes.
moving ahead. I mean, it's even though you have all the embellishments.
Yeah. Well, and there's callbacks and there's tie-ins, and it's like,
Mhm.
wow, this is really well written. Like, I can't wait to see how long this show is going to go on because where I was at the beginning of the season, where I thought we were going to get to the end, because we're towards the end now, we're getting pretty close.
One more left.
Yeah, we're nowhere near where I thought was going to happen, and you know the stuff I thought still could happen, but it's gone totally different fucking direction, especially with the way this episode ended. Sarah was
This
right.
season has felt a lot more like it was telling a bigger story that you're not getting the whole part of. Because I know, depending on where they leave it off next week on the finale, you could stretch this out a whole another season, if not two more, depending on which direction that you take it. Because all of the stuff that they have in between, they're not side stories because they're all relevant, but you have 7 main Vought superheroes, and then you have all of the other superheroes in the world, and then you have the boys and all of their split ups and side quests and everything else that they're doing. That one episode, I got halfway through this episode and I had to like stop and do something else. And I'm like, I'm only halfway through this episode. Holy cow!
Yeah. So much happens. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's so relevant. It's so funny. Greg, you and I were talking before this. I can see myself in so many of these characters, and I think that tells, like Sarah said, a fantastic story. The more that it's relevant to you, and the more that you can side with these people, because every bit of them, from Starlight, A Train, Huey, Butcher, you get things that we know, but we see more about it. Like there's so much that happens in this episode, and you're just sitting there. I was just sitting there like, my God, like I could feel like I could be there with every single one of them with the certain aspects of life.
Except the date.
Yep.
Yeah, it's hard to relate to that guy. It really is.
But it was
You-
good to see that finally. Like, it
Came to
wasn't good
light.
to see anything. It was good to see this like him pushing the limit,
him
like,
stand up for himself, at
and his
least a little
wife
bit.
be like, no.
Well, Ross, you raised the point of them being characters you can kind of relate to, and that's a huge thing in these stories, and just about any kind of story. Especially like look at comics. Like, there's a reason why Batman and Spider-Man are always have just basically are have been and will be the two most popular comics superheroes in history, because the merchandise sells, because people can relate to Bruce Wayne and people can relate to Peter Parker, different age
Dude,
groups. And that's all there is to it.
That whole show was like, I can completely understand the PTSD aspect of like his life and what he saw and what he knew and who he lost and what he gained, and like his, like all of that worked because of that. This show has so much going on. I mean, they at the beginning of this episode was God, what's Ashley, the redhead?
Mm-hmm.
She's sitting there talking trash on live TV, and like, you are watching her tell something that she knows 110% is fake, and she is just out there selling it. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, God, this is real. Like, this is real. Like, that's the community of life that we live in now. Like, that's, fake news is this. Like, that's what this is. And I was so pissed right off the bat, because I'm like, oh, it feels so real. Stop.
Yes. Yes. I mean, you're exactly right. It's what the best shows do, like South Park. Why South Park's so good? It takes real stuff in the real world, and it just like points at it and says, "Look at this, people! Like, look at what's going on. Like, just
this is what you look like from the outside." Yeah,
take a step back and look at this, and look at how silly it is. But yeah, the show's insanely relatable about that kind of stuff. Let's talk about some of the scenes, some of the stuff we finally got to see. Maeve. Mac, I did like the scene with Maeve and Homelander. I like she said this is one of the best 3 days of my life. I like none of the other two, but one of the best 3 days of my life, and it was the day that I saw you scared, and I was like, oh shit.
And with a bruise.
She's gonna come back into play at some point in time. She's got to. Otherwise, they would have killed her off. I'm glad they haven't yet. But what y'all think? Finally got to see Maeve. Does she gets? Well, I don't know. I can't really think of any predictions of how she gets saved, because I don't really know where she is.
Yeah, where she's at is kind of the trick.
But we know her eggs are going to be harvested, which is creepy for somebody to tell you.
God, talk about, once again, on the nose. I don't know. It's, the door is thick. I can tell you that. And wherever she's at, like, that shit's well guarded. I don't know if they have a what was it, Miss Marvel? Supermax prison? I don't know if they have a Supermax, or like where they keep all the people that are super villains. But man, just to magically have that on hand is pretty nifty.
I would imagine they have to have some kind of failsafe. Say it's probably somewhere in the Vought Tower or some kind of vault. Obviously, it's in a vault facility, but they have to have something like in place for if heroes go bad, like a way to contain them, a supervillain prison. Hey, so there's the scene where I can't remember who it is. Oh, okay. Who's the head popper? I can't remember her name.
Oh,
Nadia, or
we'll call her Nadia,
or her
the senator.
street name.
Senator.
Yeah. There's a scene where she's being choked by Homelander and she hands him something. We don't know what that is yet, do we?
It was an address.
Mm-hmm.
It was an address.
Yeah, it was that piece of paper that was sitting beside that
for
phone.
his kid.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm thinking it is.
Okay, I was saying I didn't see what it was.
When I automatically assumed it was about his kid when she handed it to him, just because like you don't get that kind of reaction out of Homelander for very many things.
Mm-hmm.
But it was odd that it was an address once we actually saw it. I'm like, that's got to be the kid. Like, I don't know what else that would be. We've already kind of walked the back steps through his life to know that the person that raised him and the other chick's dead. So like, he doesn't have like a whole lot of his past.
So, do you actually saw an address on there? Because I don't remember seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, well then that blows my theory. I thought it was like she had what Frenchie and Kimiko were making that for looking for. Mother's Milk looking for the formula.
one of the notes I took down was like, "Is this going to be Greg's moment? Is this the thing that Edgar had on him that he didn't know what it was?" But then it was in a dress, and I was like, "Ah, no, that's not it." Oh well.
Well,
Which we still.
considering this entire episode like revolved around the whole family theme, like everybody was talking in different versions of family. Like I was like, oh, we're having themes now. Okay, this is interesting. Family, something wholesome. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that Black Noir scene, or the scenes. Finally got to see some Black Noir, get a little bit of character development from this guy, which we haven't gotten a lot of throughout any of the seasons. But we learn a little bit more about him. He, I guess, looks like lost part of his brain. Maybe that's why he's kind of the way he is. He's got kind of a tragic story about what happens. But I was suspecting when he took the chip out as soon as he left, I was like, okay, Black Noir's got something to do with what happened to Soldier Boy and maybe what can beat Homelander. And maybe he doesn't. Maybe we see now he was the guy that orchestrated the plan or executed the plan. But it was a very interesting scene with him, especially the way they decided to portray it. The imaginary characters and the cartoons.
Like when he took his chair, put it over on the other side. He's like, I'm not talking
to get away from them. Yeah.
The way that he handled them was very funny, but the number one, the stutter. I don't know why. You have to kind of impose that. So if that's something that he grew up with, or like whatever the case may be for him, for the animated character to have a stutter was strange. But there was the one line that he said. Oh, what was it? We have gotten you through.
I know one of them was a boner.
The awkward erection in 7th grade, and
Yeah.
then they said the massacre in, I think it was Lagos.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a wide range of shit. Like,
they've gotten you through a lot, buddy.
Yeah. But it was so funny. I thought that it was very tasteful. I thought it was very oddly connected in such a manner that made sense. People hold on to the weirdest things in their life that they relate things to, that they go back to try to understand.
Mm-hmm.
And if he truly did have brain damage, because that reenactment was bloody as shit, even for cartoons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm glad we got to see it though, rather than just hear about it or anything else. Like it was cool that in any version they gave it to me that we got to see the actual story of what happened, and it definitely changes everything up. Yeah, at that point you don't know the way this whole thing ends, which we'll save to the end there. Let's talk about Butcher's nightmare. You learn a lot about Butcher in this episode. Like we already knew he had a fucked up past. We already knew stuff about his brother. We already knew stuff about his dad. This is another episode where it has tie-ins and callbacks to stuff they've already referenced and stuff they've already laid seeds for, which is cool. I like seeing stuff like that. Man, that superpower to be able to trap somebody in a nightmare until they die of dehydration. What a horrible way to die. I thought drowning was bad. Man.
And the fact that he's bipolar is weird too.
Who's that? Butcher?
No.
Or
the
what was his name?
The guy's name? Mind fuck or something like that. I can't remember. Something like that.
It reminded me of oddly enough, it reminded me of God, was a teenage show, the Stargirl, with Brainwave.
Yeah.
And how utilizing a power like that could either screw with you or could be because you're screwy to begin with. Mm-hmm. And so, like, I don't know where the bipolar aspect came in, but I can see myself going crazy if all that you do is hear people's thoughts. Like, that has to be such a weight period on you. But then to turn around and be able to kill people in that manner, like you said, that's horrible. Like, what is your limit?
Right.
I don't even know what to say, because like that is drastically dark.
Well, it's almost like Nadia's power. Like, realistically, at any point in time, he could just look at you and kill you. Just look at you and kill you. Like, it's
and in
crazy.
a slow serving manner.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Butcher had a real. I know that we've already kind of connected the dots that he was treating Huey like his younger brother. You know, like he was trying to save him when he couldn't save his younger brother. Mm-hmm. But other than it being just emotional to have to like see it, I didn't feel like it was all very new to me personally. So to like going through it was just sad to see, you know, like because you know that people live through shit like that.
Yeah. I thought it was really well done. I mean, the way they intertwined the scene, like they would show a quick scene with Huey, you know, and that kind of stuff in there, or show him doing something exactly like his father does, and you see him doing everything he can to try to prevent coming this way. Only it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, everything you can to avoid that path leads you there.
It's a lot of parallels. It's like it's almost like you're, you know, reliving the same scene, the way the same moment, same emotion, like the same, you know, reason behind it. Because that was like, that would be kind of tough to kind of come to that realization that you didn't really want to be like, you know, your father, but yet you're still doing the same shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the same.
Oh yeah. Well, I have a feeling that Butcher's bipolar too. I mean, just look at just his reaction, the way he changes. Like he comes out of this coma, and you can definitely tell he's different. But the moment that he has the opportunity to do the right thing and tell Huey about the effects of the temporary V, he just like his face changes. Like he switches over. It's almost like somebody else takes over at that moment. You know?
I don't know about bipolar. I think it just shows you his character. Man. I mean, his character is like when he's faced with when he has to face the things that he's done post, like with the family and the brother and all that kind of stuff, with that flashback scene or that nightmare scene, it screws with him. Like it deeply affects him. But you're right. When he's given the chance to actually do the right thing, he doesn't. Mm-hmm. And we know why he doesn't, because he is so far down the hole of trying to kill Homelander. Like that's the only thing that's important to him. That's where the twist at the end really makes things super difficult.
Yeah. And I'm willing to bet you, based on this new knowledge we have of the Compound V turning their brains into Swiss cheese, like they were saying, causing lesions, that everybody we've seen taking the temporary is going to have full-blown Compound V by the end of this to save them from dying. So I think Butcher and Huey will be full-on superheroes, or have superpowers.
It's quite possible.
Season. Because I can't see any other way of reversing that unless they have some kind of cure or something happens. I don't know. But it seems like a simple solution to cause a cure for that.
Compound W.
So, Sarah, what'd you think of the Deep and the octopus threesome? Like, just
could you not hear my eyes rolling all the way over there?
From a woman's perspective.
Well, number one. She finally said it. She's like, Kevin, you're an idiot. Yeah. You are an idiot. Yeah. But if you're going to try to pull an octopus and no.
She tried.
No.
She tried.
Yeah, but no. Personally, I probably couldn't keep my shit together anyway. So I'm like, what are you doing? I mean,
she got a lot farther than I thought than it was going
to. But all it took was the octopus to pop her on the leg with that tentacle. She's like, nope, I'm done. I'm out. I'm over. I'm whatever. No, sorry. That's just a nope. No.
I'm kind of upset we didn't get that scene of him doing the interview that he wrote after, which I think we probably will, because I think they're going to make him crash. But yeah, that's the Deep's one of those characters that I wouldn't care if he died, because he's just a throwaway character in my opinion. But like, it adds every time I see him, I know there's going to be something comical. Like he's the comic relief for this show.
How in the ever loving hell? I mean, I just don't get it. How does he even get dressed? Because that looks like that's a complicated costume to get on.
Yeah, he never takes his gloves off. Huh. I hope that Sea Creature straight up Lorena Bobbitt's him, and then
doesn't the octopus have a beak though?
I think so.
Yeah.
So,
but it's flexible. I mean,
you know.
Look, I've been in Japan. I've seen some really weird shit, okay? Really, really weird shit. But oddly enough, she was into it before, like, number one, she was into, like, a threesome. Like, she was like, okay. Like no one was twisting her arm.
Right.
And then she went the full extra mile. It was like, I don't know what this is about, but I'm not gonna say anything yet. Like you
Right.
said, when the tentacle touched her, then she's like, nope, done. Because look, I've seen some strange videos too, like on top of all of it, like an octopus can get out of a pinhole. Like it's fucking crazy. But also, no, 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 no.
You
No.
got to
No.
watch how you say you've seen some strange video with the subject matter. So, but yeah,
I've
octopus
seen
going through
some
a
strange
pinhole is
shit in real
crazy.
life. Look,
Yeah.
I've been a little far off the strip in Japan, and if you go far enough, back, they show you some things that you
Insane
didn't
stuff,
think
huh?
that you ever needed to not see in your life.
Don't give details.
I'm
There
good
were
over here.
many.
Somebody else
Good over
figure
here.
it out.
Okay,
don't
good.
don't give details. Yeah, let's move.
There were many oh my god moments in this episode. Like I'm pretty sure there was. I think that was definitely like wholeheartedly probably the biggest one. Uh, I want to say like the fight scene with the brain smashing with the cartoons is another one, but then at the very end, like that was the third one. But man, like one episode just kept on just hitting you like nonstop with all this
Mm-hmm.
craziness.
Yeah. One short scene we didn't talk about, but I thought was very, very crazy. A-Train getting Blue Hawk's heart.
Oh yeah,
What do you
maybe
do?
that was one of my other ones.
What do you do in that case? Like if you're A-Train,
I mean, it's not like you can't take it. Like you can give it back.
right? But like, just say you woke up with a terrorist heart.
Well, not only that, but when Ashley was talking to him, sitting next to him, and she's sitting there trying to tell him that he's going to do a movie where Tom Hanks is going to be his coach. They're whitewashing like a whole other aspect of his life after
Right.
all that happened, and you're like,
Right.
holy dude, like, is he going to stab himself or like what is he going to do?
I don't know. I mean, so he doesn't have the heart disease anymore, so obviously he can run again. I
mean,
thought
at
this
some point he's going to have to.
Yeah, I thought this character was going to be written out at the end of the season or die at the end of the season. He may still, but it looks like they've got a new way to write him back in here, and it's just fucked up, man. It really is. Just the thought of it, you know. It's one of those things that like I wish I'd been asked beforehand, but I don't know what I would have answered.
Wasn't
You know?
there? What was that Heart movie? Was it 7 pounds?
Yes, the one
Was
with
that the
Will Smith.
car accident and then like someone
Yeah.
got transplant or whatever?
He's donating parts of his
Something
body.
very weird.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not the same one I'm thinking of, but yeah, like all the like when you start thinking about it, and then you realize like it comes from who you could possibly hate the absolute most in the world. Like, what do you do? Like,
Yeah.
I don't.
The only reason
Such a
I'm
weird
living is because of this person. It's like,
It's the writing, of the show. It's just crazy.
Yep.
And the directing and the cinematography, everything's crazy.
So Homelander learns in this episode that you got to be careful because you can be recorded with anything you're saying. And I'm not going to lie, man. I'm sitting here watching this scene and I'm like, man, she is ballsy. What has she got? And then pulls out the phone at the last second, recording the whole thing, live streaming. I was like, oh, man, he's screwed. Like, there's nothing. Like, at this point, he might as well just go full on villain. Right?
Then you see what he did, though. I mean, like with the whole, I can't remember her other name, but with Nadia, when she approaches him, she's like, "You gotta get your shit together. Like you are losing it. You are just you rambled 20 minutes about Starlight, and you're supposed to be here talking about the next president of the United States, and like all you did was sit there and revenge bitch comment about Starlight."
Almost
yeah, you're
like
right.
Politicians do now.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's- You're here for a rally, but you know what? Talk about what you don't like.
Right. It's crazy. Yeah, but this whole Starlight thing. So now Starlight is going to save Huey again, which once again I think by the end of this season the only way to save them is to have the powers.
And she saved Kamiko. She actually went and got the V.
That's the thing that's hard for me to understand. It's like you're so fighting against this, and I get she wrote this heart-loving story, but like, is what Huey's telling you not heart-loving enough for you to understand? Because you understood for her, and it's like that's why before I was saying she kind of needs to drop what she's doing here. Like, I get where she's coming from, but I mean, come on. Seriously, as somebody with superpowers, especially now, breaking in to steal V, force somebody else to get superpowers, do you really have a leg to stand on in this argument anymore? You really don't.
No.
Maybe that's why she's going to go try to save him. I don't know.
I mean, you see Kimiko just, dude, after the last episode.
How she was still alive is beyond me because
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I was like, she's dead, dude. There's no way.
She X-23'd it up in this episode, though. I'm telling you. You know?
But it's amazing that she was able to hang on. You know, the fact that, what they say, she needed sleep, or she was still hurt, and then fucking Frenchie was just high as hell.
Yeah.
I love that he's like, that's just his persona. Like when you see him and Eminem sitting next to each other, MM is just sitting there. They are both so screwed up. One of them heavily off drugs. One of them like completely and emotionally distraught.
OCD, you know, like kind of stuff.
Yeah. I'm OCD. Like I hate it. I dislike every bit of it because sometimes when you see something, you just can't walk away, and it's disturbing all to hell. But just the dynamic of the two of them side by side, and then you have Frenchie and MM, and then you have Frenchie and Kimiko, and then you have Kimiko and Starlight. Like the threads are just like interwoven. They just keep the story going.
You know what I don't get about the Frenchie and Kimiko story is like they had this whole thing where they wanted to go away after this mission. And everything, and now she wants the powers back, and he's like, well, I thought you wanted to go away. It's like, well, you still can. Like, there's nothing stopping you from doing that. Quite honestly, if I had the ability to heal and super strength, I'd want to take that with me. Like, I could still not be in fights, and I could still retire. Just have that ability to never be killed would be pretty cool, you know?
Well, Kimiko is you don't know what you have until it's gone, but at the same time, she realizes that she's the monster, not the superpower.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole thing was just very funny.
I think she also kind of put it out there that this whole group is the family, and she wants to protect the family. Like when she was telling him, you know, the kiss wasn't weird and you're my family and everything, I think she was referring to everybody in the group as far as, yeah, we can still have our romantic thing or we can still do this, but we're a family now, and she wants to protect that. So okay, I get it.
You and your straw noodly arms.
Bendy straws.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right. So the final scene, you know, the way it ends.
Well, actually,
okay.
Talk about Soldier Boy first.
Okay.
I mean, Soldier Boy is just smoking it up like crazy, and all of the things that they talk about, him, Huey, Paul Reiser, dude. Mm-hmm. Who knew Paul Reiser was going to have such an enormous comeback? I mean, he is all about this new Stranger Things season. He is all up in this show now, out of nowhere. I mean, I don't know who's having a better time, like him or Tessa Thompson, because she's in Thor and she's in Westworld. And then you got Paul Reiser, who came out of nowhere, like retirement, and just threw himself into these shows. Was he a legend? Is that what they refer to him as? Mm-hmm. But when he's up in Paul Reiser's house trying to bang the maids, and he's just like, I'm just trying to get stoned and you know, do the deed. But he sits there and smokes and smokes and smokes and smokes. And then Huey's like, maybe you should stop. And he's like, why don't you lick my ball sack? But then you get Butcher trying to stand up for him, like, you know, like he has PTSD. Like, no shit, he has PTSD. Like, number one, who wouldn't? And number two, duh, look at him. He's blowing everything up, and he has no control over what he's doing. Mm-hmm. So when he comes in, I can't remember the villain's, or not the villain, but the old superhero's name that he's trying to kill. When they meet the priest and the nun, and he's talking to Huey just about being a soldier. I totally get where he's coming from, but that shit was cold. But it was totally like, he was right. And it sucks, but he was right. I mean, it seemed like he was right. I can't say 100% that he was right. But
right.
When that nun called Huey a cocksucker, I'm like, oh, maybe he is right.
Yeah, and what was funny is when I was watching that scene, I was like, this is a show where he could be wrong, and they just...
Yeah, it wouldn't matter.
They would just go to the next scene. Like, it wouldn't matter. Like, so I was wondering, I was like, I wonder if he was wrong. And then they did show us the nun. So, okay. Well, at least they gave us that.
right there with you.
Yeah. But
I
yeah,
found that when Black Noir was having his little moment with the cartoon dramatization, um, it definitely seemed like they were pinning the same storyline of Soldier Boy to Homelander, to where Soldier Boy was going crazy. Soldier Boy was becoming the person that he thought no one could beat him, and he was just constantly there to be at the top.
mhm,
And then you get the parallel at the end, and that was just, I mean,
mind blowing.
yeah, like it made sense because it like all the signs pointed to it. I mean, like it was just crazy though because when they're having the conversation, you're like, oh, shit's about to get real bad.
You know, to be honest with you, beyond Sarah mentioning it that one time, I never really thought about it. It kind of caught me by surprise, but I was like, oh, this there's things for a loop right here. This really changed things up. Sarah
That's what
called
I
it
was
pretty
saying
good.
because it's like,
Yeah.
if he was created, and I'm like, okay, and then, introduce Soldier Boy. So I'm kind of like, okay, like, I'm just thinking, you had to have, because even though if he was a test tube or whatnot, you still have to have certain parts to put together in order for things to happen.
Right.
So I was like, and then I'm just thinking like because some of the attributes he has, they have very similar attributes. Um, as far as like the strength and that, and just who they are and who they represent. Like I said, as far as Vault goes,
Mm-hmm.
it's just kind of like, what's kind of this place? This is sounding kind of familiar. So, but yeah.
I
Well, I
struggle to
love.
see if it was evolution or not. Like, is it taking a superhero? I mean, are you taking a superhero's kid and then giving that superhero's kid more V to give them more powers?
Right.
Because it didn't sound like the mom was anything special.
Well,
And
look
It
at
just seemed
Homelander's kid. I mean, the one he had with Becca. So I mean, look at some of what he has.
he seems to be about the same as Homelander though.
at this age. See, and what makes me wonder is maybe it's just generational thing. You're right. Maybe it is evolution, Ross, where like just generationally they get stronger as it goes on. Like who knows? And we technically don't even know if Homelander is stronger than Soldier Boy yet either. I suspect he probably is, but I'm because it took three of them earlier to hold him down. But I'm not sure.
But yeah,
I,
Homelander does have more attributes than Soldier Boy too.
and that's they even said that, but he can fly. Was one of the points they brought up. I did love the line he gave to him though, where he was like, "The funniest part about it was, if they had left me alive, I would have just handed it over to you. Well, who wouldn't want to hand that over to their son?" And I was like,
Yeah,
"Wow,
but
that's."
really, but really,
I mean, maybe he would have. I could possibly see him doing that because think about it. By now, he'd be old. Like he hasn't aged because he's been in like that sleep, right? Like technically, by now he'd be old
But
otherwise.
no, he didn't age anyway because they were making that point when they were talking about when Paul Reiser's character was sitting there having the conversations. Like, we had to have that talk with studios when he was making movies with the same people, and they were aging like drastically. And
And he wasn't.
Soldier Boy was not,
Okay. Well, maybe he didn't then. I don't know.
because if think about it, like if Homelander, what they say, he was born in 42. I mean, you're
That's true.
80.
And this is present time. Yeah, that's true. So maybe they do age, but just at a much slower rate.
Yeah.
I know it's going to be interesting, though. We got the finale next week. We're going to see what happens with Homelander. And I want to see what happens with Vought, too. Like, Vought seems to be in shambles. I don't think Vaught's going to last, especially after this last little outburst with Starlight.
I mean, I would love to see them get their comeuppance, but I don't know if that's really going to happen. We like, when we were talking before about the scene, you can only tolerate shit for so long before you have to punch it.
Yeah.
yes,
And it was that moment to where I was like, yeah, that's me. And
Mhm.
at some point, Vought's going to get their jaw jacked. Like they're going to get something has to happen between Homelander lying, but now that you have two of them, who knows how they're going to, are they going to go full bad? Because like you say, you don't know how many seasons of this show that they could make, and that you would just you're surprised. This season is way better than last season to me.
Mhm.
Period. but I don't think you can take this show forever. At some point, excuse me, at some point, they have to go like full bad, and something has to happen,
Right.
and then there's just going to be like the end.
Right.
So
There has to be a winner, a finality to it.
yeah,
No. The one thing I didn't like about the scene with MM where he punches the stepdad.
Todd.
I'm behind him with that, and that's exactly where I would have been too. I don't like the way they try to play off the daughter's reaction. That daughter's old enough to realize what's going on, especially in that conversation. And I know, well, maybe it's just me. I know for a fact, for me, if that was my daughters, they would probably cheer me on, not be like, "Oh my God, Dad, what did you do?" Like they try to play it. And I was like, she's a little bit too old to play that innocent child act, I think.
Well, she if she has some sort of like superhero hero complex, like if all the superheroes of the world are like, I don't even know what you would consider that an equivalent to in our own real world, but if she just got to go and see Homelander, I mean, like, what do you feel like? Your stepdad's taking you something that your dad would never take you to. Like, is that
Okay.
there's different ways to look at it, but I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But Todd's a prick, so screw Todd.
Yeah, he had it coming to him. Yeah, exactly.
Especially
I can't wait,
Mister.
man.
I believe in everything that's fake.
Yeah.
And so, like, the tolerance of MM was amazing.
Yeah.
Up to the point where he made the dad comment.
There's just no point in the comment. He could have just got away with just you just don't make the dad comment, and then everything's good to go, man. Just it's always that one extra line, that somebody says that gets him knocked out. So next week's the finale. I can't wait. I haven't heard anything about a season 4, but I'm sure it's coming.
I think they did say a season 4.
Did they? Okay, cool.
Yeah, pretty, like 99% positive on that.
Well, if Ross says that, then I'm 98% positive. Because what is it? 60% of the time when Ross says it works every time. So wait, 60%? Yeah, that's it. That's the line. That's not true. He's good. He's right with most stuff. Anyway, let's talk about Umbrella Academy. I effing love this show. It was one of the shows we started this podcast off with. Man, it just blows me away. The storytelling, the writing, the characters. I don't think there's a character in this series, good or bad, that I've seen at all that I haven't enjoyed their story, and I haven't enjoyed the actor that's played it and the character in it. Like, it's just all around really, really good stuff. The Sparrow. Yeah, we're going to talk about Christopher.
He's the one character that just
don't understand. Yeah. The Sparrow Academy is pretty cool. I like the way they're portraying this. We're going to talk about episodes 1 through 3. I don't know if y'all have watched more than that, and if you talk about what's a little past that, I really don't care. Spoilers, not that big of a deal. But I've only watched 1 through 3. I'm just going to watch 3 a week and just talk about 3 a week. So, first of all, the introduction though, I love it. One of the best parts about this series is the perfectly placed music that they have. Oh, yes. Such a great soundtrack and perfectly placed music, and I love they redo the intro of season 1, episode 1. Just put a twist on it, but it's the exact same thing. So really, really cool. And then it brings you right to where season 2 ends, like the exact moment. Really, really nice stuff. Really well written. What do y'all think of season 3 so far? Or how far have you gotten? That's a question. You're 3 episodes in, Sarah? Mm-hmm. Ross, you're probably done?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing.
Hey, I know that.
This season was really good. I segmented my notes because I didn't know how we were going to talk about it, so I did not want to spoil anything for anybody. Okay. Yes, on the intro, the re-intro to the show where they did it with the Sparrow, it was so good. Luckily, they tell more about that as season goes on because you have to. But, dude, you're right. The music has always been an enormous thing for me in this show. You know me and music, and I talk about it all the time when we watch stuff. I'll talk about it when we talk about Ms. Marvel. I'm watching. Oh, what's the other space show that I'm watching right now? For All Mankind. They're doing a 90s thing right now. They're playing all the 90s hits, and it is It's making the heart beat every single time I watch it. I love it.
Nice.
But this show does some fantastic stuff with music, and it does it in so many different episodes perfectly.
Mhm.
This show, the second season was a real twist for me because when they started doing the time traveling thing, on the first episode, the second season was when you see the war break out, and you're like the Umbrella Academy is fighting the Russians and tanks and like all sorts of stuff, and you're like, what is going on? And I thought we were gonna get somewhere to that at the end of the second season, and we didn't quite.
Mhm.
This third season does a real good job of building up and delivering. So the first episode where you meet the Sparrow Academy is just enough to get your beak wet, not squid beak, but to get you there, to be really happy with like where we've come from so far. The first season of the show is epic. The second season still did a good job, but this third season, it's meant to be so confusing, and it works.
Really?
It works.
Okay. Because I'm 3 episodes in and I'm not confused yet. I'm actually really enjoying the fact that I am understanding, at least to what I feel so far, completely everything going on. Because they even had a little video explaining the grandfather paradox, which I was like, see, look,
I was
that's all
like,
you,
"There's
that's all you got to
regret right
do.
there."
Yeah, that's all you got to do is put a little video right there and explain it. Give me pictures, draw the arrows. Cool. I get that.
I have in parentheses, fun for Greg.
Yeah. So I saw that and I was like, all right. But yeah, it hadn't been confusing for me so far, but I'm only 3 episodes in. And the way the third episode ends, I'm like, okay, this is about to get real. Like this is about to get really, really fun. Like I see they have given us a great platform for this season to be on with the 3 episodes. Now we got what, not 6 episodes left, or is it 10 episodes or 9 episodes?
It is 10 episodes.
10 episodes. So we have 7 episodes left to give a great story on this foundation they've built. And I love it. Absolutely love it. Sarah, what did you think first 3 episodes?
Jump
I
right
know
back
you love
in
this
there.
show.
I was like, oh, I was so glad to see Klaus again, and like he's
Klaus delivers. Yep.
Oh my God, 100%, 100%. Diego has a kid,
Stanley!
which is really interesting. I think what I enjoyed more about it was the Sparrow Academy themselves, those characters, because just look at their, the dichotomy they had of, who their number one is, and and that just how it came, goes down the line. They've got some really, really odd abilities.
They do. It makes you wonder why those were the ones that weren't selected before. Like, what made him select the 7 before as opposed to, because I guess he didn't know their powers. But then again, from what you're
We're also sitting over here like these questions are probably getting answered if y'all just go ahead and watch the damn season.
Well,
I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah,
No.
I do know that even in the first episode of season 1 and the first episode of this one, it says he set out to get all the kids. He only got 7.
Mm-hmm.
So it's led to believe that I guess some people wouldn't sell their kids to him. So it just happens to be that he got 7 in this one.
But it was also interesting to see the different Hargreaves, because the one that we met was like a total ass.
Mm-hmm.
This one is just a doormat.
Well, it looks like his children have basically taken over him.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has no control. What if, I guess, Umbrella Academy would have been more organized or more fit, would have probably ended up happening too.
Yeah,
I don't see how this man had a power over them.
If Ben was still around, this Ben is an asshole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not saying we really miss you, but anyways.
Sarah, you'd mentioned that Footloose moment last time we talked. You said you'd watched it up to the Footloose moment. And I'm not going to lie, when I was watching that, man, it was so fun. I was like, gosh, this had to be so fun to film.
Like, what
imagine how fun. And I thought that too. I was like, I even wrote, oh no, it's a dance off. And then Footloose started playing. I was like, this must be what Sarah's talking about. So interesting power. We don't know what that power is. And I'm assuming we're not going to know anymore what that power is because that character's dead now. Died in episode 3. We're going up to 3, right? Yeah, she died in episode 3, which is odd. They've killed off so many of the Sparrow Academy. I think we have, 3 left now or 4? 4 if you can't, because Michael's 1. So you have
Okay, hold on. End of episode 3 was was
was
that
where
the
was where
Harlan scene?
yeah, where Harlan shows up.
Okay, so then they. Okay, yes. Okay, I'm with you.
So at this point, we have Christopher, we have Faye, we have Ben, and we have Sloane are the 4 that are left.
Luther's girlfriend.
Yes, his girlfriend, which is funny. He had some endorphins. He was floating on endorphins.
Oh, he was floating on something.
Yeah. Like to the point where you can see half the people just disappear and then just skip away and be all right with it. And I love he gets back to he's like, nobody noticed I was gone.
He walks in, he has like all this Sparrow stuff. I mean, he's like the cup, the bag. I was like,
yeah, everything's so crazy. Actually, there's, I guess, behind the scenes stuff. There was more to where like he was wearing like a whole lot more than like what he actually showed up with. But I remember the fact that he did that. The Sparrow Academy branding in this seemed like the Umbrella Academy was like straight weak sauce. Everything about the Sparrow Academy was notches above where the Umbrella Academy was.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of allude to that later on in the season, but I mean, they have their own fitness center. They have, did you see the scene where was it Marcus was throwing the towel down?
Towels. Yeah, he works out every morning.
Yeah, I'm like, you just got a crowd up there just watching him.
Mm-hmm. Which, but that's cool too. Though I like they called that specific scene at a point when Vanya's or Victor is threatening him, and basically says like, "Do you really want me to embarrass you in front of everybody out there and start shaking the coffee cups and shaking everything?" She's like, "I destroyed the world twice in the last 20 days, so don't mess with me."
Once again, that's important because like they live a life of turmoil.
Yeah,
I
all
mean,
3 seasons has been 20 days for number 5.
Half of a summer.
Mm-hmm.
They have done nothing but destruct and try to save and redestruct and try to save. So that timeline is always crazy. At the end of episode 1, I keep calling it the Red Ball of Doom, and it just shows up. And then you have Grace just worshiping this damn thing.
But she's a robot.
Like, I know. She's a robot. It's a straight up phenomena, and she's treating it in a religious sense. I didn't quite get any of that, but
yeah,
we moved to episode 2, and they do the whole quick once over of they call them the Kennedy Six. They're known for being a part of the plot to shoot Kennedy. All of their identities are cataloged in newspapers. What they said that at this point, Sissy was killed by her husband.
I don't know. Are you going past episode 3? I don't know.
No, episode 2 was Vanya thought that Sissy was killed, and that's what caused her to realize that, you know what, life is short, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm going to be my true self. And Vanya transitions to Victor. And I mean, she's not the only one to get a haircut. Diego did the same thing, which good on Diego. Yeah. I mean, he was looking a little scruffy, but
that wig wasn't working for him.
It worked in the 60s.
That's right. Yeah. I did want to ask though. So like, this is a 20-day span. It's horribly all 3 seasons so far. That means season 1 was like 10 days ago in theory, somewhere around 10 days ago, right? Where Victor was in love with, what's her name?
Sissy.
No, not Victor. Luther was in love with number 2. What's her name?
Allison.
Allison. Yeah.
So like 10 days later, he's falling for somebody else. It's like, it's hard.
Not
to
only
write
that, but he lost his virginity.
Yeah.
In that time frame.
It's so hard to write that though, because if you like it's hard to progress a character, really if you think about it's been 20 days for them. Like how do you progress emotionally in 20
Luther
days?
and Allison were an old thing. When Allison was married and had a kid and so on and so forth, she came back for the funeral.
Yeah, but they had that awesome scene in season 1. Dance scene. They had that awesome dance scene in season 1.
Yeah, but that dance scene was nullified by the next episode. none of that actually transpired because they went back, or five went back in time and screwed it all up.
That's right.
That's why it was called like The Day That Never Was or something like that. Was the
That's
name of the
right.
episode.
Mm.
And so now here we are with that's the opposite day to that was when Luther went out, got screwed up on drugs, and ended up banging some Brando in a club and losing his virginity, or at home, whatever. So yeah, like the feelings, like I completely understand why you hate time travel because this is what happens with time travel. Like it literally. It goes right back to the saying about butterflies. And the moment that you screw something up, for them, change their whole entire timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And when you don't know that it's happening, you don't know what you missed out on. And that is some scary shit.
Yeah. I do not like the concept of time travel the way a lot of shows explain it, but this show works for me. They do a good job of explaining it because they focus on it. Like it's an episode to explain why this happened. Like 5 tells you this is why this happens and this is what could possibly happen. And it's like, okay, cool. Well, you explained it to me and it makes sense. I like that.
Oh, 5's not give a fuck attitude is working out very well too.
He's such a like actor, old man, and he's such an old man in a little dude's body. It's crazy.
Yep.
Dude, I would love to see him play a Robin. Like I think he'd play great. He's just a great actor, man. I think he would play a great Robin. You know. But I love him. Are we ever going to get a name for him? Everybody else has got a name in the show. He's always number 5.
You know, his actual name is his last name is Gallagher.
Oh, is it?
Which I'm pretty sure one of the show writers. I know that Noel Gallagher does music, and if I'm correct, he's one of the Gallaghers from the old Oasis band.
Really?
Yeah, I got to figure out. There's got to be some thread work in there somewhere, but I don't know if he's connected to those Gallaghers, but he himself, yes. Now his actual character name in the show, I don't know. I have to IMDb it and see if there's even if he actually has the name beyond 5. But you're right, to call everyone else by their numbers, he's the only one that gets that.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's crazy too that like generally their numbers are like power rankings. I would think
it seems more like that with the Sparrows for sure. They seem to be playing that up hardcore.
Okay,
I don't know.
I think 5 is the strongest one of everybody in the Umbrella Academy. You know.
Well, when you can play with time, yeah, that definitely makes you strong because when you can go back and push someone down the stairs on accident, who knows?
Well, Victor may be the strongest actually. Now I think about it, but
yeah.
But yeah, this show, man, it does it for me. It really does. I'm so happy to see season 3. I'm kind of mad I waited till today to start watching it, but I probably would have watched all of it had I not. Let's talk about Klaus with his scenes where he's really, really into this mother thing, and I guess just him doing that actually unveiled the grandfather paradox, because had he not done that, 5 had determined that they were just in the timeline they were going to be in.
Yep.
No problem. Because they were worried about running into doppelgangers, but they don't have to worry about that anymore.
So what do you know about all of that right now?
I know that he finds out that his mother was killed, and they find out that all their mothers were killed on their birthday, but before they were born. They don't know
who killed the mothers?
Not who yet. No.
Okay.
Not through episode 3. So interested to find out. He goes to Hargraves for it in this one, and I'm interested to see what these pills that they're making Hargraves take are, because now that Klaus has showed him the trick to hide the pills, it's going to be used, and we're going to see what happens when he's not on these pills and see what changes.
So it's funny because they have him so, comatose. They have completely figured out how to control Hargreaves, and it's one of those things to where if you don't know it yet through episode 3, but it's just so strange that they're able to do that, because Reginald Hargreaves in any other, in the other timeline would not allow some crap like that to happen. And like you're at a loss. You're like, how? And not only how, but did they become successful after that fact? Did they become the Sparrow Academy that they are known to be the billboards and the workouts and everything else after
Mhm.
him doing that, or did he make them and then they just decided to steamroll him?
I think he made them, and then they steamrolled him, which is why they're having to have him sign things over and sign for stuff because he's the one who did it. And if you remember, like they explain in this one, like the only reason that this even exists is because of what happened in season 2, where he sees what failures he describes them as then Umbrella Academy is, and decides to go a different route. Instead of choosing them, he chooses others, which puts us in the position we're in, which is awesome writing. Puts us in the position we're in right now. So I could see why the second time around. Well, it wouldn't even be the second time around for him. It would be, okay, this is what I think I should do, but I know this is not right, so let me do this. It's almost like a second try, which you're not guaranteed to be right that way either. But
No, you're right. It is a second try. I
yeah,
mean, that's the way that he is looking at it. Because if the kids that he chose went back in time and screwed things up, then he didn't choose the right kids. Like that's his mental paradox, right?
hmm
So when he chooses to do the other thing, how does that work out for him? But man, when you finish this show and you look back on like time and how all that stuff works, you're like, oh,
fine. Okay.
like
And
seriously, like the endless. It's like when someone tells you that if you could choose one of 99 different options, and you're going to get like 999 other consequences out of them, and then like 99,999 more things can happen after that. You're like, which path do I choose?
right.
That's what this show is like. It's like, which path are they on right now? Because holy hell, they could be on so many different paths.
Well, and the thing is, you're never going to get back to the original. There's no way. It's too
No,
screwed up. Like you can try to get as close as you can to it, but you're just at some point in time, they're just gonna have to accept that this is like
this show is more like Quantum Leap than it is like uh, trying to return back to your original life.
yeah.
You know, things just keep happening.
One character we hadn't mentioned yet, and then I got all my notes for 1 through 3 wrapped up. Is we didn't mention a lot about Lila. We talked about her dropping off the son, which I love the relationship between Diego and his son. It's a fun. It's the comic relief in this, and his son's kind of a badass. He's got balls, at least, you know. Um, but we didn't talk about Lila very much, and she comes back, which is a character I like from the last season that I didn't know we were going to get to see this season. It's cool that we do. I love the relationship with her and Five, though. Like it's a
Good.
great dynamic between the two of them.
Did Lila leave and not come back after the boy?
Well, she had no, she left him there with Diego, but she's still there in the period, and then she broke the or the no, she didn't break it, but the briefcase wouldn't work.
Briefcase.
Yeah,
Yes.
the
Okay.
briefcase wouldn't work. She stole, but the other one, neither one of them would work, and then her and Five decided to try to jumpstart one. And last I saw, they jumpstarted one, and they did make it to the commission.
Did you see the
But
fight scene?
Oh, them in the bathroom.
between those two,
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, where she was
That
naked.
fight scene was actually pretty good.
Yeah,
Like
Uh,
just like choreographed wise.
it'd be hard. I imagine how hard it is to fight somebody naked, though. Like even just to do an acting job, like.
I imagine that like if they're able to get around all the like the money shots, then like she's not completely naked. So
Nah, makes sense.
and if you're an actor, then clearly
Probably
you have to
doesn't
be
matter.
professional unless
Right.
you go to go act in the X-rated shit.
Right. There's different types of actors, Ross.
The choreography was really good. I thought that the fight scene was really well done to be in like an old bathhouse style
Mhm.
room, and the humor between those two it just keeps getting better.
Yeah.
Um,
They're like fighting to the death, and then they just stop. Like, all right, I've had enough.
yeah,
Let,
well,
let's
they know the consequences. Like that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
It's like this isn't going to get us anywhere. Like we know that we have to work together
Mhm.
because if we don't, we're dead.
Yep. So it'll be interesting to see where they go from there. It's 4th of July weekend. I'm off the next 3 days. I'm probably going to end up watching the whole season the next 3 days. In fact, my daughter loves the show. I'm see what she's into it. I may see if she wants to watch the
Dude,
rest of it with me.
the show is really good.
This was one of the foundation shows for this podcast, man. I absolutely love it. One of the ones I knew absolutely nothing about. I wouldn't mind picking up some Umbrella Academy comics, to be honest with you. But it's one of the things I'm following the show. I don't buy comics nearly as much anymore as I used to. In fact, I haven't in quite a while. So I'm more into audiobooks now. They're my jam.
I'm really gonna go down the path of like digital comics. I think I think it's something's better than nothing. at this point. So
yeah, I think that if I get back into reading comics, like get back into reading I'll probably end up reading digital ones. I like owning the individual copies, and if I find a series that I really like or something I want to own, I probably would still buy individual copies. But I'll probably, if I get back into reading comics, get into digital. It just makes more financial sense. But all right, anything else I want to say? Oh.
Before, because each of you have only seen the first 3 episodes, what do you think's going to happen?
Okay, I think that the remaining Sparrow Academy is going to be forced to work together with what Umbrella Academy is there to figure out what this red ball of death is. Down
It's catchy,
in the
right?
basement.
Red ball of death. I like it.
Yeah, down in the basement. And I never know what happens with 5, so I really can't tell you what's going to happen with 5 and Lila. They're going to save the day. It's usually the way it ends. The world's going to be right at the brink of coming to an end. They're going to save the day somehow or another. But I do think that it's going to be what's left of the Sparrow Academy is going to have to work together with these guys, because they see now that it's not the Umbrella Academy that's doing these things.
Do you think that we lose any Umbrella Academy members?
There's a chance. I mean, yeah, I don't see why we couldn't. I mean, 3rd season in, you could always swap them out with somebody from the Sparrow Academy. You know, who knows? I did want to talk about that one. I'm not gonna lie. When I first saw Sparrow Academy, just standing there, I was like, "Oh, look, Mark Ruffalo and Anne Hathaway." Like, I don't know why. That's what I thought right away. But the guy Alfonso just reminded me. It just looked like Mark Ruffalo makeup. It really did. I'm sorry, Mark Ruffalo, but it looked like you with prosthetics on. And then
you
the girl
saggy ball sack
looked like Anne Hathaway, you know. And I was like, wow, they got some actors on here. And then I was like, okay, those aren't those two. But I don't know. She did to me. She looked just like Anne Hathaway for a few. I was like, holy crap.
I could see Anne Hathaway. I don't know if I can piece Mark Ruffalo, but man, that's a stretch.
Yeah, I don't know why. That was just the first thing that came to my mind. But I loved his attitude. I loved that character. His powers were cool. I hate that he died, because I would have liked to see more of that character. I didn't fully understand it though, because he gets in that fight with Diego, and like, from what I can get, like if you hit him, like whatever force you give to him, it reflects right back to you. But there were plenty of scenes. But there were plenty of scenes where Diego was hitting when that wasn't happening. So I'm like wondering if it's like a direct hit, like it has to be straight on, or to the face.
Or
I'm not
he
sure
has
what it was.
to focus. And like, I don't know what the case may be.
I'm not sure what it was, but I don't think I'm not going to find out, because he's gone. He's gone. Harlan took care of him. Which I didn't see that coming either. I was trying the whole time to figure out who this guy was, who this guy was. And then even when I saw him write his name, I was like, I don't know who this guy is. And then, obviously,
I pieced the Harlan thing together only right before, like midway through the 3rd episode. I think I started to kind of see it.
Okay.
But that was because I was trying to play the time game. Like, okay, what year are we in? What's possible? Where are the characters at? Because they said Sissy died, but they didn't say anything about Harlan. And I'm like, okay, that's odd. Yeah. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, and I'm loving the show. Love Umbrella Academy. Really, really awesome.
Sarah, what do you think is going to happen?
7 episodes. Yeah.
I don't know. I learned a long time ago that there's just that. Just let it unfold, because there's been talk. You know, it's you might think something's going to happen, and then it's like something totally. It's like a show like this, I go with absolutely no expectations. Yep. That way, I'm like,
when you build them,
disappointed.
That's right. You will become disappointed, because it will not be exactly. I don't think I've ever called a movie or a show and it turned out exactly like I thought it was going to. You know,
sometimes I get the feeling early on, like I could kind of see where they're going with this, but I mean, Umbrella Academy is like one of those Doom Patrol shows. Like, you can't put that together.
Yeah, there's no direction. It's like putting a June bug on the end of a string. You don't know where it's going. You've got it, but it's going wherever it wants to go. You know, so.
Odd comparison, but I'll take it.
Just let it unfold naturally, because you're probably gonna sit there and just, what the hell did I just see? What? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go with it.
It's one thing I love about the show. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if you guys finish it, let me know. Let's see. Next week we have 2 finales
and 4.
2 finales. Thor, Miss Marvel will be in what, episode 5?
Mm-hmm.
Man, yeah.
Yep. And then the following week we have
Content.
Yeah, lots of content. Speaking of, we
Actually,
still
we're
have.
going to be
Go
at a
ahead.
slow point. Like there will be a little bit of a lull
That's all right.
before
We got all kinds of stuff. Trivia, retros, all kinds of stuff we can do. I'm not worried about it.
I got
So,
Comic-Con.
yeah, lots of stuff happening. We're not news droppers. We like to talk about news. So, Wyatt, was there anything else about Umbrella Academy? Go on.
It's good. Let me know if you finish it.
Definitely will.
Now, I think what we'll talk about Miss Marvel next. I think I'm gonna jump because I kind of want to keep it a little bit.
Okay.
I'm gonna be able to catch up on a few things too because I've got some time. So,
well, before you go, then before we dive into it, you were catching up on Miss Marvel. You're one episode behind right now.
Yeah.
What do you think so far? Because I haven't.
I like it. I like it. I just like to me, from just it is kind of it's kind of weird feeling like it is in the in the MCU because they're talking about a lot of things that are like, okay, this like Avengers and and all this kind of stuff that was just like that's just their normal, hey, it's happening, this is in our world. Just like, okay, that's kind of cool. I like that it's finally getting to the point you're trying to figure out, because I think in the 4th episode is when she actually goes to Karachi. So that's why I want to kind of wait and see what actually happened. So but I do like the fact that this character they're taking, she has a totally different nationality, or that kind of thing. I love that because it's a different take on it instead of it just being like your typical white type person or something along those lines. So I mean, I because you're actually, it's just not the character itself; you're taking into consideration her culture as well.
Yeah. Culture, upbringing, all of it.
I'm really liking that. But like I said, to me, it kind of does feel like a Disney show. I mean, I know it's catered to young, like high school, young kids,
right,
kind of like my kids, that kind of thing. I still haven't gotten them to sit down and watch it yet, which Gage is all back he's in Transformers, and Claire, she's in Stranger Things, so they couldn't be any more farther apart right now.
Right.
So, but it's just, just watching that and just seeing it, because I have watched a lot of other Disney shows and stuff like that. So, we've done the whole Bunked and all that other shit too. So I'm like, I can handle this. It's like, there are some adult themes that are kind of going on there, but yet it still just feels like a Disney show. And I mean, I guess in essence it is, but I mean, it's cute. It's not anything like super heavy, like end of the world. Oh my God, doom and gloom.
But it's super fun. Like all the stuff that they bring into it is really fun.
Yes.
Well, I compared it to Stargirl whenever I first started watching it, and my expectations going into it. But it is better than Stargirl.
I agree.
Me and Rolf were talking about beforehand. It's Stargirl without the whining and the angst.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of it in there, but which it is in real life. But
it's not the whole "woe is me." Oh my God, you lied.
Not CW. Yeah.
It feels very real. Like if you were to, I mean, and I don't know what your guys' experiences are with having friends of like other cultures, but like I had a friend in high school who was of a totally different culture and upbringing, and that was a little bit of a culture shock going over there and learning how the parents and the family, the whole
the dynamic was totally different than
the whole thing worked, and it was. I mean, Greg and I have been friends forever, and like we knew how each other's houses worked. But when you meet someone else new, especially someone from like a totally different nationality, it shell shocked you until you start to realize. I mean, that's the whole point. Like everything in life to you is shell shock until you actually become comfortable with it. And so this right here, I recognized, and not only did I recognize, I had appreciation for, because it's not about me, it's not for me, and it's not about this color. It works for everyone else. I love everything that they do with it. I love the level of sincerity and severity that they have in this show, because it's very deep for a teenager show. If you pay attention to the parent and child dynamic a little bit more, but it's also fantasy to a point to where it's really fun. I've said it time and time again. The cinematography and the directing and the visuals are phenomenal.
Yeah,
I
fight
love
scenes are
them.
great. They really are.
Yeah, like it's so they keep making small tie-ins to the MCU, and I think that's kind of what this whole phase is about with these lesser characters. Moon Knight was like culture light.
Mm.
Moon Knight was one of those shows that, like, they wanted to dip into the Egyptian culture, but the way that they were doing it was very diet. Like it.
Right.
He wasn't Egyptian. They were like, I don't want to say they were forcing it, but I mean they held true to the character to a certain extent for sure.
Mm.
But this right here is it shows you. It's Miss Marvel is so, I don't want to say difficult, but so different to bring to the screen.
Right.
Because in the comic books, she is portrayed a certain way. She's a fangirl.
Mhm.
This is a fangirl. The show is about a fangirl.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that you're on episode 3, so you got to see the flashback with the blue arm and the bangle and the 10 rings and all that stuff, like right there in the beginning before the Marvel logo even drops. And like I said last week, like they mentioned Dr. Eric Selvig, they mentioned, Bruno trying to figure out how like the multi-dimensional stuff worked with the Jinn. There's a lot going on here. And I think that's what's really important to remember. Like, this is a show about a teenage girl trying to figure out how she's growing up in a very cultural, strange life. And
Well, that's
here we
what I thought
are
was so funny too, because she's like, I'm a Jinn. Like the one thing that she's absolutely terrified of. She's like, I'm basically the boogeyman. I mean, she was just like, I'm a Jinn. And it was like it's kind of like anybody else. You find out she was just like, okay, this is great. This is just fantastic. Like I said, I just love her delivery and like her reactions to a lot of stuff because I'm like,
she is a fantastic actress.
Yes.
Fantastic. I mean, like,
she reminds me of my little sister. The way her face looks, like, and her mannerisms and the way she reacts to things, I'm like, wow, that's Tracy. That's my little sister. Like the way, like every time I look at her face, I'm like, that's my little sister right there. Like, just, it's cool. Yeah, she is a great actress.
Yeah, she's phenomenal. She's a lot. Yeah,
they even said that she showed up at the Thor red carpet and she was just fangirling the shit out of everybody.
Yeah,
like in real life. So I mean, like, she is who she is.
Well, one thing I've heard complaints about that we talked about before was people have an issue with the way the powers are portrayed. Sarah, I wanted your thoughts on that, because for me personally, I'm liking what I'm seeing. Like, I don't have an issue with what I've seen so far, and as the episode goes on, it gets cooler and cooler and cooler. So
I mean, like I said, I'm not familiar with the comic material, so it's something totally new to me. But like the training. Just seeing like the training montage.
So
like,
good.
That's what would happen. That's absolutely. But, and even when, she saved that kid, it was like, okay, I'm doing good. But then, it just goes to show it's like there's a lot more that goes into it than just, throwing, having these abilities and being able to do that. So
right.
It's just, I mean, I have no problem with them. I mean, I think they're pretty cool. So. Yeah. I'm just curious to see if there's any more that kind of develop, or as she kind of hones it and that kind of thing. So,
well, this is where we leave you.
Yeah, it's a very fun show. Yeah, this is actually a good episode. You probably wouldn't want to get spoiled on, because there are a lot of questions answered in this one. I think
that's what I'm saying. I was thinking more about it because I'm like, because like I said, I know she's supposed to go Karachi to kind of explore that a little bit more. So
it really comes together in this episode. So.
Yeah. So with that said, fellas, well, y'all have a good evening.
Yes, ma'am. Where can they find you if they want to talk to you?
If anyone wants to talk to me, you can find me on the Twitter at MyLadyKitten. That's about it. I'll bounce around on there every now and again. I might throw it's like I'm always watching.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
hit her up.
All right, fellas. Well, I will talk to you guys later. And
happy 4th.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
enjoy your decade.
There you go.
America all over your ass.
I mean, that's a pretty cool shirt. I didn't see that. That's pretty cool.
All right, guys. I'll talk to y'all later. All right, bye.
Later.
All right, so we'll break this episode down, Ross. Um, it's another really good one. These episodes are somewhat short. I mean, it was like 42 minutes, so you take away the credits, you're looking at like 35, 37 minutes of, actual footage. They're not too difficult to get through, especially because they're fun to watch. So it's one of those ones where I'm not clock watching while I'm watching this episode. I'm
No, not at
enjoying it all the way through. So we learn in this episode the Bengal's trying to tell her something. We still don't know what yet, but the Bengal's trying to tell her something. At least that's what her grandmother says, right? How does her mother not know about all this stuff?
It seems like with the story,
the
story that we've gotten so far, is that she was so humiliated and disliked the sight of her mom that she got when her mom kind of had these things go on with her, that she shut that part of her life out in the way. Because if you remember, what do they call her? Nani, I think is what they referred to her as. When she was having the conversation with Nani, it was, you moved half the world away to get away from me. And you want me to come live with you now. Because it seems like, it's almost like the whole, I think the best way we can kind of relate it to is if you ever had anyone in your family who was a far out dreamer and you were a pragmatic, practical person, then the two of you would have a real tough time getting along with each other.
Right.
Because one of you works on logic and the other one is all about freeform fairy tales. So it seemed like that was the dynamic that they had. And she got picked on for it as a kid, that her mom was crazy and she didn't like it. And so it seemed like rather than introduce her into it, she let her daughter run away, is what I was getting out of it.
Okay. So maybe her daughter knows about this stuff, but maybe doesn't necessarily believe it, thinks it's myth, fairy tale, hasn't seen the actual powers, just knows stories. And I guess if you haven't seen anything like that and somebody's telling you that kind of stuff, like I even read comics and I know about the stuff, but if somebody told you they were a superhero but never showed you, or I could see.
And as far as we know through this episode, Nani and Kamala may not have the same interaction with the Bengal and whatever the power may be that's behind it.
This is true.
So
she may just have the whatever in her, like whatever.
She could have the vision, and everything else to go with it, but she may not have like the actual, the physical application of, the use of the power.
And I don't even think that her grandmother did, the one that was the original clandestine. I don't even think she did, because they said it was weird for her that
it's
because she was,
right? Because I'm still trying to piece that together.
Yes, I think it's the great grandmother. Yes.
Okay,
yeah, the one that's the original. But I don't even think she had the powers like Kamala has, because they even noted when they were studying her, when she meets the Red Daggers and she was showing them their power, they were talking about, you're able to interact with this like nobody else can. For some reason, you're able to interact and use the power. What is it, the nook? Is that what they call it? Nook? Something like that? Noon? I can't remember. The wall that was dividing the two dimensions, is where they draw their power from, and you can only use that power in that dimension. But for some reason, she's able to draw on this power in this dimension. So I think that's why they want her to get them back, because they can't do that. So I think she has something that everybody else doesn't have.
Well, so if you remember from last episode, they had like the Bengal came off of a blue arm.
Okay,
and that right there is odd enough, and so.
And there are two. We know there are two of them.
So
there's
they
one
say
somewhere else. Yeah.
So what? I mean, in all reality, that could set up for like a real true foe later on, not in a TV series. I've said all along that this show has been progressing very well. I think Marvel and the Disney Plus MCU team have been figuring out that they need to do a little bit more, a little bit faster. And this show seems to be showing that. It seems to be showing the progression of what I would expect in an episode 5 of a 6-episode Disney Plus Marvel show is now happening in episode 4 I feel like
Okay.
we're getting more payoff sooner. And I
Okay.
love that. I want that because I want the story to be a little bit more complex. I don't want it to be rushed. Um,
Makes sense.
this was a really good episode for episode 4 to
Oh yeah.
travel to Karachi to do these things and to show the family. It showed a lot more. It was very, there's a lot of depth to this episode because it showed the family. It showed the mother and grandmother dynamic
The
and the
cousins.
reason why that, although it didn't really say why all of a sudden they had no problem to go see grandmother. They
Yeah.
just really kind of went
Little
to go do
forced in. Yeah.
that. um, it jumped into the red daggers, which was very strange in itself that they just mystically found the red, or she mystically found the red daggers that quickly.
Hmm.
But I can understand like that. I can buy. Um,
Maybe that's what she's looking for. She's being drawn to it without being known. She's being drawn to it. The Bengal
yeah,
stripe, Bengal put her in that spot right there to be found. Maybe.
I actually you keep saying Bengal, but I'm I'm pretty positive that they could not film in Pakistan with what's going on in the world and the agreements. And I think that they actually filmed this in Bangladesh.
Really.
If I'm correct, I have to go back and check, but they did not film it in Karachi. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
But something that I thought was very, very important that you brought up was the fact that she's able to interact in between what's going on. Because this brought up a very important thing to me that I've been trying to figure out with where the MCU currently is. Is Miss Marvel multidimensional or interdimensional?
Hmm.
And this seems like the way they described it a lot more interdimensional.
Yeah.
Not as in there is another version of yourself somewhere else, but there's another plane of existence. Very much like Black Panther.
Right.
Very much like that feeling of like subterranean existence almost, but not like
Mhm.
in the physical sense. More like a you know I can't find the words right now, but it was interdimensional. Like it was very much a whole nother part. Like if you were to get out of your physical being, like what would you be?
Mhm.
And in this episode, so I don't want to jump to the end just yet, but it shows us that she's able to bounce back and forth. And it
Right.
did last episode with the ending and the
Mhm.
train sequence and trying to figure that out. It just she's tracing clues, and her clues now have led her to Karachi.
Right. And they're playing a big part into partition too, like playing into something that's happening with the train, with the number of times they brought partition. Now they're showing the actual scene. She's getting brought to the actual night of. Um, it's going to be interesting to see. One thing I noticed, and I know it happens in all shows, but I noticed it in this show, especially just because they did three-wheeler, is that when there's a car chase scene, whatever cars are in the scene are indestructible. Like they can run through anything, and whatever car they're running through is just frail and weak and gets pushed aside. But the car they're in, man, can just go through anything. And two, in this one, they're on three-wheelers. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now, the scene where they're getting pushed in front of the car and they get turned and the three-wheeler's going sideways, getting pushed. No. As soon as that three-wheeler gets turned, it's getting flipped. Ross, I had a three-wheeler growing up. You remember that thing? A motorized three-wheeler.
You got to
You can't
steer
turn.
into
You
the
can't.
turn.
That's right. You can't turn on those things that fast. And whenever you get turned sideways like that, the second you get pushed, you're flipping. So I get it. It's a show. And I don't know why I just noticed it for this. And maybe it's because I had a three-wheeler. But I noticed that and I was like, oh yeah, they're flipping right there. There's absolutely no way that's happening.
Dude, I wrote was a VTX 1100 trike.
Yeah.
Completely different. Like I'm a motorcycle guy, right?
Are
Like
those spiders, the one that had the two wheels in front and one
no,
wheel
no,
in the
no,
back?
no, no. This is a Honda VTX motorcycle, but turned into a trike.
I got you.
So my stepdad owned one, and when he had back surgery, like he couldn't ride a motorcycle anymore, so he had a trike for a little bit of time. And I'm telling you right now, it changes everything about your driving style.
Yeah, it does.
Everything.
It does, man. You can flip those things so easy. It's insane.
Yep.
So, but yeah, that was
The
one thing.
car chasing was cool though.
It was.
I mean,
yeah.
If you suspend belief for a little while,
Which you have to for these shows.
yeah,
You really do. Yeah.
You know, even every single time I see a clip of the original, well, the first Avengers movie, you have to really understand, like, you can't destroy all of New York and get away with it. Like,
Right.
consequences, right? And really, that's what all the rest of it's about. But in this, you really have a sense of danger, and you have a sense. The only part that I did not like about the chase scene was it was all downtown, and it kind of felt like they were doing it in circles
Yeah.
because they kept feeling like, with the bad guys and the good guys kept revolving around each other
Yeah.
because it didn't seem like they were going very far out. If I'm in
Just
the
the
car
red
chase
dagger
scene,
chase scene.
yeah,
Too? Yeah.
like I'm out. Like I'm like I will zig and I will zag and I will go and like I will hide and I will wait and I will go again. Like
Just left turns, man. That's all I make. Just left turns.
no, because then you circle the block.
Yeah, I mean, and like you said, you have to suspend the belief. And like I said, I don't know why it stood out for me in this episode. It doesn't take away from the episode because every show does it. But it was just one thing. It had to be the three-wheeler that threw me on that. But car chase scene was still good. Like I said, if you suspend the belief for a minute and you just enjoy what you're watching, and the show does it. The show can make me forget about little things like that because it's so well written, great actors. And like Sarah was saying, I love seeing the different culture too. It's cool to really immerse yourself in it. My daughter has a friend whose parents are from the same area, I believe. I'm not really sure, and it's a shock to go into the culture, but it's cool to see different things.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. Didn't know what I was going to expect with Miss Marvel, but I'm much happier coming out of what we got so far, and I'm sure through the end of it than what I thought I was going to get, and I'm very, very happy to say that. It's nice to be surprised, pleasantly surprised rather than disappointed. So, this show's killing it, man. Killing it. But do we get a suit by the end of the season? Like an official suit?
So all the promos have shown something, right? I don't know if you've seen any of the promos to be fair, but
yeah,
all the promos show her sitting on a street light in a suit, and they started to build on that in this episode. This is the second episode they built on that
vest they put on. I was
yeah,
like, oh, okay,
the first one was the mask, the second one was the vest. So they're slowly adding to it. And I'm assuming that there's going to be some sort of. It could be the mom that helps stitch something up. It could be Bruno. Who knows? Like, I don't know who's going to help her get to that point, but in the promos, it shows her in a very comic-esque style suit.
Okay.
I mean, like, I don't see Captain Marvel showing up and stitching something together, but at the same time, too, like, I don't know how they're going to introduce Carol Danvers into Kamala's life.
Right.
Like, physically one-on-one. So
I do hope we get a cameo at the end of the season. It'd be cool. I don't need it, but it'd be cool to see because they can do that. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm wondering if her mom finds out what's going on. I think she does.
You have to.
I feel like you have to. I feel like they're stressing on that part of their relationship as you won't tell me what's happening. I know something's going on, but you won't tell me what's happening. And that's going to be the breaking point for them.
Yeah.
It's going to be
and she's been a disbeliever her whole life.
Right.
So it seems like it would make sense to like believe the daughter if the mother or if her mother and her daughter both do something with this.
Right.
So yeah, I've been thinking about that on and off watching the show, and I do feel like you have to do something with that. There has to be a payoff there, because if not, then it's the annoying parent, like it's like which version of Aunt May do you get? Do you get the one that knows that he's Spider-Man, or the one that never knows that he's Spider-Man?
That's a good way to look at it. Yeah, I kind of look at her as the guy in the chair. She could be her guy in the chair or girl in the chair.
Girl.
Yeah. Person.
I will say, let's see, we've got. Oh, the train station fight was good. It was very cool seeing her at the end of last episode. She did a good job instinctively using her powers.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that with this fight, they're showing a good progression in her ability to use her powers.
Yes. Like I said, I think that the display of them gets better every episode. It really does. I kind of like the big fist punch she does. I like when she did that and dude ran across. That was when she met the red daggers, but I like when she did that and dude ran across it. like it's a
Yeah.
rainbow bridge. Like that's pretty
And
cool.
like that's my argument too when it comes to the power complaints. Um, how do you? We live in a world now where people scream for practical effects. Like I just said on Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, like those were all practical effects. How do you do a physical growing fist as a practical effect
Right.
and not make it look out of place?
It's my Green Lantern argument. How do you
Yeah.
make an energy comprised of suit or a suit comprised of energy and not make it look weird? You know.
But
So,
that's the thing. Like you really have to own it, and
mhm.
the only downside or the only thing that can take away from you owning that is your VFX team.
Right.
Um, in that fight, also, it was funny because on the wall there's an inscription. Actually, that was not the only inscription in this episode, but on the wall there was a phrase. What did it? It said, "Oh, I got it here. Hold on." Oh, it says you can start small and still be larger than life. And just like with all like the text messages and everything else in this show, they just keep like putting all of this stuff. It was probably no more than a 2-second glance at a wall,
Hmm.
and that's what it said.
Yeah.
So it's their devotion to every bit of their details is always surprising me.
Yeah. Yeah. They're doing a great job with it. You know.
The secret layer was cool. I don't understand
Oh
why it was
yeah, the
behind
the
like
the
a
the red
in the kitchen.
yeah, that was pretty badass. I'd love to have that. That's some Bruce Wayne type stuff right there.
Let's see what else we. Oh, that was the other inscription. The Bengal. What you seek is seeking you, which is very weird to be on a Bengal. It almost makes me feel like there should be something else on the other Bengal
Right.
that
Well, the
says
guy even
something.
said he had heard stories of it, but never heard of an inscription on it. So I'm wondering if that was something
Yeah.
that was recently put on there that has
Yeah,
some kind of
hey,
other meaning. They wouldn't bring it up without it being something, though, and we're gonna find out, I'm sure, like something with these meanings. So
yeah.
we'll see. But yeah,
We
this is
got
a killer
the
show, man. My kids are loving it too. My daughter, she keeps that. She's like, "Caught up Miss Marvel." I'm like, "Yeah, I got it." So
buy her some uh sloth baby t-shirts.
there you go. A napping pillow. You know.
That was the other thing too. Like it was funny because she lives in America and she doesn't like spicy food.
Yeah.
And they go to the whole fire camp scene and like, is it spicy? Like, just try it. Which I totally get because if you've ever been to like Indian countries, like you could pick up anything and chances are like good 90% chance it's spicy.
Yeah, and it's a different kind of spice than we do too.
Oh yeah.
It's a
Oh yeah.
totally different kind of spice.
Yeah. Hit you way down the low end.
Yep.
What else did we get? We got the Supermax prison, like I brought up earlier. It's not the raft. It's not what we see from was that Civil War? It's Supermax. Like it's
Yeah.
in a lot more comic books.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, for it being so Supermax, it did seem fairly easy for them to get out.
I will not contest that at all. I did not like that fact.
Yeah, like I was like, well, I know they're super powered and this and that, but it still seemed fairly easy for them to get out. Like I feel like if you have them under lock and key, there's probably a number of people with guns on them at all points in times when they're moving. Just I don't know, me.
I had an enormous up and down. One great way to have like a rail system to transport your prisoners from place to place.
Yes.
Downside, why are we still using handcuffs?
Yeah.
Why are we not using something else that's like, we live in a world with superpowered beings that's a little bit more super powerful.
Wrap them in saran wrap and roll them down to their jail cell so they can't move anything. That's the way to do it. You're right. It does seem, but they had to escape though. And I was wondering when they were going to. I knew at some point in time because they're the bad guys in this episode, this season at least, or so far. Did think it was crazy that old homeboy, his mom left him.
Oh,
so
straight dropped him like a bad habit.
Yeah, we're gonna see what happens whenever he's gonna come back into play. I'm sure he's gonna play some kind of big role in winning at the end. That's the way those things are written in for him to be left behind like that. Now he gets his revenge.
Yeah, I have eerie, weird remembrance of seeing a screen grab of him in like a uh, red dagger style like face covering, but it wasn't red; it was black. I felt like that was for last episode, which was odd because I don't feel like we saw that last episode. But then in this episode, we got the red daggers and the homeboy with the red thing over his face, with like the red scarf thing over his face.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, something has to, like, at some point the streams have to cross. Like, I don't understand what's going on,
Right.
because that was a weird screen grab to not have a payoff. To turn around and have the red daggers, and
Could have been a leak.
it could,
Yeah.
well, I feel like it was official.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
I don't know.
We'll find out. So, but yeah, like I said, loving the show. I want to see Miss Marvel on big screen. I want to see how they're going to do it, and I think this character would be fun to see on big screen. I could see a movie with it.
You get to.
I want
when
to see a
did I
fully
say it
powered
was?
movie though. Like I want to see a movie where she's like superhero, where she's Miss Marvel. Like use the show to get her there, then give me a movie with her as Miss Marvel.
Miss Marvel is never going to be Captain Marvel, but I feel like Miss Marvel will be on the scene pretty heavy with Captain Marvel.
Okay.
So the end of July next year, we get the Marvels movie.
Okay.
So that's what it's supposed to be.
I'm ready. I'm down for it. I wasn't as impressed with the Captain Marvel movie. It was an okay movie.
I'll tell you what really took me out of it.
What's that?
The No Doubt song. I love No Doubt. Like, I was an enormous No Doubt fan.
And that was my first album I ever bought too. That Tragic Kingdom album. Oh,
Ooh.
oh.
And they put that song in there, and I'm like, if there's, once again, I'm a music guy.
Mm-hmm.
If there's ever been something that didn't feel right, it was when that song came on. I'm Just a Girl does not fit in that moment.
It was
And
just because it was the first female-led superhero movie, and they were pushing the woman thing.
Which stinks,
Was the only reason, which is
Brie
fine,
Larson
but
is such a she is a champion of that role. Period.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
She loves it and she wants to do something with it. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I feel like Brie Larson is at the point where Chris Hemsworth was with Thor, and that if they don't do something with this character, then she's gonna be jumping ship.
yeah, I could totally agree. I mean, because
I-
they made a huge deal about the character at the end of the Infinity War, right before she was introduced, like about how big she was going to be and this and that. They gave her the movie, and then she had what 3 minutes in Infinity War or in Endgame, and then that was it.
The time didn't bother me, but
Like,
it was the manner in which they chose to use it.
yeah, I feel like they hyped up a character really big, and we haven't gotten the payoff for that yet. And maybe we're going to, but we definitely haven't gotten it yet. So,
And I will never take away from raising up any sort of minority, whatever the case may be. The scene in Endgame did not feel like it was Russo brothers.
talking about the Captain Marvel scene.
Yeah, with the Captain Marvel and everyone else saying like she's got backup or she has help or whatever, what that like Okoye said. Like, I'm all for it, like equality, period. I will champion it till whenever.
Mm-hmm.
But it did not feel like a Russo brothers written scene, and that's why I feel like felt like I was taken out of it for a minute.
Right.
Because I'm all for integration. I'm all for making it work the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And look, my big three can be three big women, not in like a physical sense, but can be all women characters. I don't care. Like, make me love the role. That's why I'm kind of so excited to see Jane Foster and Thor, because I'm like, let me like beyond Natalie Portman, let me appreciate another superhero just in a different way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm like you. I'm not against any of it, but anytime anything, not just that, is forced, it's not right. When you can put something in there naturally, or it's a whole lot better. It's just like the Captain Marvel thing. You were saying the song took you out, and I was mentioning that was at a big time where they were trying to put out the first female-led Marvel character. And that. Here's the thing: is they could have put Captain Marvel out there without spewing everything about it being woman, and it still would have been a really good movie with the character carrying the movie. Like, so it just didn't seem necessary. That's why maybe that scene took you out of it because it felt forced.
This show, Miss Marvel,
Yeah.
is fantastic. I
Mhm.
love it. I
Mhm.
love every bit of it.
Agreed. Yeah.
I especially love the integration of culture and everything else. Like, I don't give a shit, guy or girl. I don't give a shit, whatever race or whatever anything else.
Mhm.
The fact that it works is the fact that it works.
Mhm. That's why you keep it, because it
appeals
works.
to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't keep it because it needs to be, because it just needs to be there. You
Yeah.
keep it because it works.
I
You know?
love the interpretation of the culture. I love the music. I appreciated what they did for Moon Knight music and the Egyptian twist on it and everything else. But this show, Miss Marvel, the music in this show, every single time I hear something, I'm going and looking for it. Like,
Yeah.
I will go and I will look for it, because I mean, I've had an ongoing Marvel list forever, but like I've gotten to a point now to where like I have like a side playlist of music,
Mhm.
and like this stuff is on it because
Yeah.
it's great. I love
Mhm.
it. And I think Kamala, and I think that the actress's name, which she escapes me right now, but perfect.
Mhm.
I mean, perfect.
Yeah, they nailed it. Like there are some superhero characters that they just absolutely nail in these roles, and she's one of them.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we're both enjoying it, man. We got coming to a close pretty soon. So
Yep. And she's learning to drive a dog stick transmission, which or dog leg. I don't know. Do you know what a dog leg transmission is?
I don't
You
know.
got that reverse, and then the first is on the downside.
No, I didn't see that, but I did find it funny that she'd get that
Yeah.
thing going, because I know she couldn't drive a regular car, and I know people
Yep.
who can't even do that with a regular 6-speed manual transmission.
That's
So like,
that
there's no
callback.
way. Yeah. So yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to it, man. We're going to continue the coverage, and then we'll see what happens with Miss Marvel in the future. With I don't know if she's going to get a second season of a show. I think it'll be a move on to the movies, and maybe we'll get something in a show later, an appearance. I don't think you'll get a
Well,
second Miss Marvel show though.
I feel like Miss Marvel works perfect as a show, which is very
Right.
strange because I've been trying to figure out, like, let's look at it. What we have. Our first show was WandaVision, which I appreciate the hell out of.
Yep. And Falcon
I
Winter
thought that it
Soldier.
was a great in between. I thought it was a great crossover show. I didn't need a second season of it.
Right.
We
Well,
turned
you
around
did.
and
You
got
got a second season of it. It was basically Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
right,
Basically
and we don't know what's going to happen with that. Like, it's a lot. We're in a very transitional period in the MCU, which is why, like you say all the time, that you're not quite sure about it, and I truly understand and feel it. I just try to keep a very wide open, perception of like what could happen. We what was the Falcon Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
We needed that. Regardless of what people thought about it, like, we needed to see a dynamic there. We needed to see, because I mean, man, those two had to be screwed up after losing someone as big as Captain America.
Right.
Loki's a fun show.
Yeah.
It may be one of the most fun. I appreciate WandaVision for what it was, which is why I still really hold it to high regards. Loki was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the the linguistic arts of Loki trying to twist words into ways, and then Mobius playing with him the whole entire time.
Yeah.
That was so fun. Seeing the visuals of all of the different Lokis and everything else, and then the actual multiverse coming to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
And that was our introduction to, well, he who remains, I think is what he called himself, but essentially Kang.
Mm-hmm.
What do we get after that? We got Hawkeye, fun show.
Fun show. Yep. We got What If.
Oh, What If? Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, I think What If was for Hawkeye. Yeah. What If?
I can't wait, dude. That's a show I really need to go back and watch.
Yeah, I could rewatch that.
What If, Hawkeye, and then Moon Knight. And Moon Knight, I appreciate Oscar Isaac a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I really like what he does. Moon Knight was not at the top of my list.
It
was a good show to watch. That's a show I need to go back and rewatch just so that I can understand if I like it or not.
Or I would say if they when they introduce the character next, I might have to go back and rewatch some of
Yeah,
that just to be able to get a grasp on that because that was a total mindfuck
yeah.
show.
If I like
You
it or
know,
not, it's probably not the best phrase to use. Yeah, I think you're right. If I need to understand more about, I think is probably a better way of putting it. And then we get this, and I mean, I'm gonna be dead honest with you. Like, this blows out all the other teenage shows that they try to incorporate on any other platform that we watch. This is how this should be the standard.
I could
If you want me to
yeah, I could
appreciate a
hear that argument.
teenager show, like a teenager superhero show, this should be
Mhm.
the standard.
I could hear that argument. Yeah, I like I said, I went into expecting a Stargirl. I thought that's what I was getting, but I'm getting more, and I like it better. So yeah,
Yeah.
I could say it's probably of the ones that are they're aimed at us too, but that are more aimed towards a younger demographic. Yeah,
Mhm.
this is one that's really uh, up there for me. I'd have to. I don't know where I'd rank it in the shows. I'd have to sit down and really do a rank. In fact, we should do that for a show one day. Rank all of MCU shows because that's a lot. That's, that was just this year, right? No, this year and last year.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's only this year and last year. That's a lot in 2 years, man.
Was it WandaVision? Did WandaVision come out at the beginning of last year?
I think it was. I
Oh,
think it was
man.
like April or May. It was like April, March or April, somewhere for end of first quarter last year. I think.
I know WandaVision was not supposed to be first. Falcon and Winter Soldier, I'm pretty sure was supposed to be first.
Right.
And I think because of the whole recording COVID, blah, 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 that they got pushed and moved.
Yeah.
And because I think that show actually had one of the longest breaks in between because of that kind of crap.
Right.
But WandaVision was such a close set show that they were able to pull it off. Matt Shackman, that showrunner, then, dude, he created something fantastic. And not only did he create something fantastic, he literally created it, edited it, and had it out to Disney to show on Disney Plus within days.
Oh, wow.
Each
Dedication.
episode, not just the season, each episode.
Dedication.
Yes.
Well, it shows you can be done. You know, for those who say it
Well,
can't, it can be done.
Was it we were just like talking about Star Trek? You know, they're shooting in the volume 2.
Yeah.
Everyone's doing it.
Just about everybody is. I mean, just any studio is putting out so much crap right now because it's so easy to put out. But all right. Well, anything else on Miss Marvel? We got finales next
I
week.
want
Right?
to see what's going to happen.
Is it?
I want to see the Dimension.
Yeah, this is episode 5, right? So finale. No, this is episode 4.
4.
That's right. So we got 2 left. Okay, cool. Coming up soon, man. It'll be fun. I do want to see where they're going with this, and I'm really interested to see what they do with it in the movie universe. How serious it gets. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, we get episode 5, and then we get Thor, which I doubt there'll be any sort of connection.
It'd be pretty cool if there was, though. Not gonna lie, it'd be really cool if there was.
4 people going to see Thor. There is both a mid and post credit scene, and they're not supposed to be jokey, humory. I have heard that from
something
multiple
you
sources.
actually want to see.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, I'm getting a little pissed off waiting for the whole end of the credits and it being like something like, "Aha, gotcha!" I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
you mother!" You're like, it's why I haven't stayed for the last few. I just got online. Hey, does there end credit scene here? And then it's already on the internet. So
I'm with you. As much as a MCU fan as I am, I'm with you. I hate expecting something like that to be let down.
yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah.
But I have heard that both of them are important.
Okay, cool. Well, Ross, me and you will definitely stay for that then, even though it's going to be probably close to midnight by that time, or after midnight, because we're not starting the movie till 10:30, right?
Yeah, 10:30. I think it's a 2-hour movie.
It's going to be like in high school, man. Holy crap.
I know.
Weird stuff.
I'm going to need an energy drink.
Yeah, take a drink before we go in there. That's a good idea. All right, man. Well, shoot, we got everything covered this week. We got Thor on Thursday. I guess we already decided we're recording next shows next week on Saturday instead of Friday, which will be like 4 in a row on Saturdays. That might be. We're talking about a new day. That might be the new day. I don't know, but
Maybe it's just that summer seasonal.
I think that might be what it is. Yeah, who knows? But we'll figure something out. But we got guests coming up on the 15th. I got another book for August, so we're gonna have some guests with their comics and their creations and content coming on here. Continue coverage of television shows. We'll probably do some retrospectives when stuff gets into a law. We'll do some trivia, all the fun stuff we've always done on here. So I am Greg, the Bat Daddy 52 on Twitter. Check me out at GCS Podcast 1 is the show handle. Ross, where can they find you?
At Nowhere.
At Nowhere. Somebody is going to look up At Nowhere. Watch, because somebody's got that name. But no, check them out here. Hit me up if you want to talk to Ross. I'll relay the messages. But let's hop on out of here, man. I guess until next week. I'm not gonna say later, skaters, even though I just did. Y'all keep pounding.
Later.